This is today's topic. So let's have a good old conversation, shall we, about this? I think it's something that we have to talk about, regardless of what race you are, what race you identify with. This is a topic of conversation we're having today, because I'm seeing so many more conversations around this. The working class, the working class, the working class, the working class, the white working class. We're going to have some interesting conversations, and I will tell you my observations about this topic, about this conversation. Why are the white working class such victims? Why are we hearing more and more white people crying about the privileges that they've had, about the advantages that they've had? Greg says, why do we need to keep drawing these opposing sides? Who's we? Who are you? I'm talking about a topic that's important to talk about. I don't know. I don't understand what you mean. Native, thank you so much. You love me, so lovely. Balance, why are the black community so such victims? That's not the topic here, and we're not victims. You project onto us what you are. Good morning, Sophie. Yashin, no, I'm not in London. Greg says, why do we as a general people keep making these sorry, let me start again. It's very early. Why do we as a general people keep making these race versus race arguments? Do you know anything about history of race and racism? Clearly not with that statement, because race and racism didn't exist before white people decided that they were going to be white, and then installed a racial hierarchy to keep people enslaved. So if you want to know why we're talking about race and racism, talk to white people about it. Talk to them about it. Zach Polanski lives in a 2 million house, but by the way, I don't know anything about that. I don't know what that's got to do with the topic we're talking about here. Why are the white working class such victims? This is the topic. If you can talk about the topic, then that would be great. We're not having a political discussion about the Greens yet. Maybe one day we will, but we will talk about that. And it's funny, actually, just on the note of Zach Polanski, how people are trying to vilify him in every way, shape or form. Like I had somebody on the weekend say, oh, Zach Polanski has funded the WF, the World Economic Forum. No, he hasn't. Googled it. There's nothing about it. And as soon as I brought up the evidence, the guy disappeared. So it's really interesting how you guys want to talk about him, and you don't even want to look at the people who actually live in £1 million, like properly £1 million houses, probably the people that you're voting for. So it's interesting that you would bring up Zach Polanski. It doesn't make sense. Greg, you're mixed race Jamaican. You see both sides of the spoon. That makes sense. It makes sense. And you don't understand then a little bit more. I suggest you actually understand a little bit more as to why this topic of conversation is happening today. Good morning, mods. Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Laura Emma says, I'm working class and I don't feel like a victim. I'm just getting on with life. Good. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. So if you could tell more of your people to just get on with things, that would be good. Yeah. Tundi says, they are victims because they are blaming foreigners for their problems. These are reform voters. And it's not even just reform voters, it's actually the media in this conversation. I remember a couple of years ago when this started to be a conversation. Why are white working class boys being left behind? They're not being left behind from anything. They have not been left behind from anything. Their parents have not valued education. And this is very generational. I've told this story before. My parents, like where I live now in a foreign country, my parents come to visit. We've got some British neighbours, and they've had conversations with my parents. The things that they've said, so these are English, let me be very clear, these are English older people that live here. They have said, oh, it pays to be educated, doesn't it? When speaking to my parents, they've been intimidated by my parents just being regular people. Thank you, Aston, good to see you. They've been intimidated, and my mum, after them, she came back and told me that this is what the woman said. It pays to be educated, doesn't it? Interesting that you would say it around my black mother and father. Very interesting. Yes, it does pay to be educated. We literally value education. We've always been valuing education historically. It's not been valued as highly in white communities. And of course, we're talking about Britain, we're talking about England specifically, really here. Because the white English class, working class, have oppressed, as we know, the Welsh, the Scottish and Irish from speaking their own languages because they felt threatened and intimidated by the native languages in Britain. They wanted to seem like they were smarter because they couldn't have the ability to adapt to these cultures. They couldn't grasp the concepts of what already lived in Britain. And so they had to repress these people and make people try to work in an education system which was supposed to work for them. But the GCSE results are showing what? White working class, again, are the least educated in the country. User, good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. So this is it. Tyler says, why is an African lecturing the British about their own land? I've been very clear about what the British is. You don't know what the British is. You don't know who the British are. British is a nationality, sir. I'm a British national. I have a British passport. I have an English accent, clearly. Anyone who lives in a country and is born in a country is enabled to talk about where they grew up. Duh. If you don't talk about where you live, that's your problem. If you feel so censored by British patriarchy and British systems that you can't speak honestly about your country, then you're still a slave to the system. I am not. So we've got someone who wants to come to panel. M7K.craft. Hello there, how are you today? Hello, M7? M7 on the panel. 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, you got a mic problem. Okay, can I hear you now? Okay. Keep trying to sort out your microphone.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Yes,
Yeah.
I can hear you now.
So sorry. I might have to close the app and then come back, but it's working now. Lovely prompt. Nice and refreshing to see you doing this. Wicked. I think people are British people are very scared of saying this, and I think a BOK woman doing it is needed because there's no argument then, is there? But like you just said, it's a nationality. Yeah, we are a nation, and if you are English, you're English. Because I'm YT, and my ancestors, once upon a time, somewhere along the line, was put here, isn't it? Then my egotistical forefathers called themselves English. So who's to claim it, right? So why are working? Do you want me to go to the yeah, boom. Basically, there's a book called The Art of WAR, and the best form of warfare is against your own people. So this is what's happening right now. They're using us as a form of, like, it's hard because then we're taking, and then the YT working class are taking all of the brunt of the privilege. Yeah, and then the YT people over there, they're really getting privilege, but you wouldn't even see them. Because they don't even spend no time around no one else. Right,
exactly. This is where you get to understand class. So there's so many things that I talk about, and I talk a lot recently about the Industrial Revolution. So the working class of Britain were actually victims at that time, right? They really were oppressed heavily. And I talk about this, how they were having to contract their own children into slavery, essentially. After the transatlantic slave trade, there were so many uprisings, the Haitian Revolution, transatlantic slave owners were worried about being unalived, right? Because it was really going crazy. Plus, they were not making profits anymore. So the British decided, okay, well, what we'll do is we'll start to enslave our own people. Let's do that. We'll enslave our own people. And that went on for so many years, so many years, that now working class people have forgotten that that's their story. They think that they should be afforded the same privileges as the people that have oppressed them. And so now when they see black and brown people who have come into the same system as working class people, and we've been able to excel and get out of that system, they don't understand it, and they are just coming for us because they are so under, the manipulation of the government and the media to make it seem that it is our problem. Like you say, it's all this divide and conquer stuff. It is all this manipulation. It is all this.
You talk about you talk about the normal average white geezer that doesn't leave his estate. You talk about that guy.
Well, pretty much, yeah. I mean, these are the ones that always spend their time on these apps complaining and crying about a lot of stuff. And of course, we know they're voting for reform. If we look at the reform map, where are the people that are voting most reform? Northern, in the north, where the industrial revolution was at its peak, so it's all making sense, but they don't want to look back at history and understand why their story is as their story. It's just easier for them to blame us.
Yeah, and also, like, someone I was around, I found out that they didn't own their house. It's embarrassing, isn't it?
Well, the thing is
embarrassing.
About property ownership.
It's embarrassing not to be the YT person with the privilege.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
It's embarrassing. Do you understand? Honestly, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, it is for them. It really is for them. I have a post on my page. I'm not sure if it's pinned, but they always say, black and brown people take benefits. I was like, excuse me, from where we come from.
I'm a YT working class person, by the way.
Yeah, I know, you said. That's what you said. I'm still talking on the subject. But they talk about the benefits, right, being embarrassing for black and brown people. It's not. We come from economic instability from the white man. So if we're using benefits in the UK, then that's literally something we've had to do. Whereas white people in the UK, they use it as a basis for their existence. And they get upset if black and brown people access the service, even though they've actually paid taxes in to be able to use it.
Yeah, I think this is disgraceful. I think this is disgraceful that they've managed, people on a general level have managed to mix the average day-to-day BLK person in Britain with a foreigner. I don't know how that narrative is even.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
So they can say something like send them all back, and they literally mean BLK people.
Well, they mean anybody. They actually mean any. It's not just about black people. It's about anybody. So, how old are you?
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 36.
36.
36.
So you're old enough,
anybody.
So you're old enough, right? You're old enough to remember the Brexit vote. Do you remember the demographic that they didn't want in the country at that time?
Was it black and brown?
No, it was Eastern Europeans, other white people.
Oh yeah, the Poles.
Yeah, it was them. So they've never liked anybody at all, except for English people. And we've had this conversation over the weekend about what makes somebody English enough. So I even had somebody on the panel whose great-granddad or granddad was Polish. And I said, you do realize that one day English people are literally going to be testing you, because this is how the Aryan people, right, the whitest of white people are. They want to see who exactly is the whitest of white. They want to make sure that you are part of their clan. Right, so this is how we're actually trying to understand what racism looks like in England, because it looks a lot different. It's not just white. It's not just that. It is just how pure you are to a certain ethnicity.
What's your parents, like your parents, ancestors? Where are they from?
We're African as African can be. We're African as African can be.
So when you say you're British, or English, if you're a BOK person and you do, or of someone of any colour actually, or any other nation that's come and they say they're British, do you believe there's some things that they should, let's say, conform to make that a thing, or do they just have to be here and say they are British?
British is a nationality. I don't believe it's an ideology.
There's etiquette to Britain.
I just happen to be British because that's the land I was born on, right? That's literally it for me. That is it for me. And like I say, I don't have any Anglo-Saxon heritage at all. So I will never claim to be English. The funny thing is I see this conversation is that some people are just saying that they're English to rage bait Anglo-Saxons. To me, that's hilarious. No, I think... But so let me finish the point. You asked me a question. Please don't rapid fire questions at me. I'm going to need to answer what you said. In terms of conforming, no. Nobody should have to conform. That seems like it is very much a dictatorial existence. If you come to my country and I tell you that there's a certain way that you need to live, then that's very dictatorial. you should be able to just naturally integrate to wherever you live, right? You should be able to speak the language. You should be able to get by in life, I believe. And the country I've moved to now, I don't live in the UK anymore. That's exactly what I'm doing. Because as an immigrant and descendants of immigrants, that is traditionally what we have done. We get to know other cultures, other communities, and we try to share culture and language and things like that. The problem with the English is that they've never been able to do that. They don't integrate, they don't adapt, they go and colonize, they take over areas, they bring their bland food, they bring their bland life, and they expect everybody else to bring the joy, which is which is literally the only thing that makes them happy in the UK, is other people's cultures, other people's entertainment. Yeah. That is it.
Yeah, and the child marriages. But what I was going to say, so you know, on the term of language.
I don't know what that comment was at the end. Don't think you're slick. I did feel like you were getting some kind of vibe from you there. And during this conversation, I felt some kind of vibe from you. And I didn't really like it. So we're going to continue. Right, we've got Amari Bling. Amari on the panel. How are you?
Hi, good morning to you. I hope you're well.
I'm good, thank you. I'm good so much. So this is the topic today. Why are the white working class such victims? I don't know if you've seen the conversation. We're basically seeing a lot of this narrative at the moment. For me, I find it very hypocritical because as black and brown people or any other ethnicity, we always have come into the country as the same class. We've all been working class, sorry. So why is it the white working class are still crying after hundreds of years of privilege that they're still working class? That's my question. Why they're victims?
So for me, I think it's all a false narrative, if you ask me personally, because there is, like, we buy into these race, social kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Constructs, like, the idea that we are different races in itself is wrong. So literally, whenever you come across these kind of individuals, these white working class victims, it's always easy to debunk whatever they say, because it's always some kind of foolishness. Remember, a lot of these individuals, whenever you see them in the marches and you ask them a simple question, they can't even answer. Mm-hmm. The articulation levels is so poor. And as you said previously, they haven't paid so much attention to education. Yeah. They literally have the audacity to speak about people's grasp of the English language when they can't even, master it themselves. Yeah. It's so sad. And, when I think about, again, white working class victims, they've been told that they're victims. Mm-hmm. They don't want to look in the mirror and ask the hard question. The hard question is, what is my accountability here? Why am I here? Yes. And it's real easy. I'm born in the 70s. So, I remember a lot of out of order things, Mm-hmm. And literally, that's the first thing that I would want to ask them. Sometimes I watch the television. You probably would do the same when everybody else is listening. Mm-hmm. And we're looking at people being interviewed, and you're just thinking to yourself, why don't someone just ask someone a simple question? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, but this is part of the brainwashing culture in the UK, and especially towards white working class people. It's to get them to forget exactly what they're supposed to be, because the working class, of course, is what keeps the country running. So they need to keep them in this cycle of working, perpetual cycle. Let's not give them any extra information so they can come out of the system and can raise class. But of course, now, like you say, they've been told that they're working class. That's the label they put on them. But now when they see, like I said, working class black and brown people who they've had to grow up around. I came from a working class area, right? My area was pretty much a council estate. It wasn't officially a council estate, but it was a council estate. And in the 90s, we were literally the only black family there. And I think we had an Asian family particularly, but it was basically all white. It was run down. There was broken down cars everywhere. I went to a terrible school. Even my secondary school was almost closed by Ofsted. But when my parents used to go back to that estate and go back to see the neighbours, they would always say, we're so proud that you managed to get your kids to university and get off the estate. And honestly, I'm very lucky to have a really nice neighbours back there. But again, I know that the other half of the street would be like, That's not right. These people, they've got the jobs, they've got the cars, they've got the houses, they're traveling, they're doing all these things. How come I'm not able to do these things? And I've been in longer than them. I've been grafting longer than them. You know,
Exactly.
it does not make sense to them, again, because of the simultaneous propaganda and brainwashing that they've actually been experiencing. Yeah.
But none of this is new, you know.
No, I
When
don't.
you think about it, this has all been repackaged because this was the same thing in the 50s and 60s and 70s. And with what you just said, yeah, I can't help but reflect to a joke my grandfather made many years ago, yeah, as a young boy. I didn't quite understand it back then, but I do now. And the joke is, it's not crass, but it's quite striking. And the joke was, you had three individuals working in a warehouse, could be a coal mine, wherever it is, yeah. One of them's Asian or an Indian man, one of them's a white man, one's a black man. And they all got laid off. Yeah. The Indian man comes home, says to his wife, I've been laid off. She says, don't worry, you know, your dinner's ready for you, you know, give you massage, all them kind of things there. The black man comes home, my darling wife, I've been laid off, don't worry. You know what I'm saying? The stew peas is there, the yam and banana, all the things that's ready for you, you're going to be all right. The white man comes home and he goes, love, I've been laid off. And she goes, it's all right. At least we're not a ninja or an Indian. Do you understand? Something so simple like that is far-reaching. It is far-reaching because the loathing white working class people have for themselves is unmeasurable. Yeah. You understand? They literally hate themselves. They just don't know. They look at us. They want to be with us. They're just so confused. And it's such a shame because I think to myself, yeah, there are individuals who are allegedly possibly representing us on certain platforms. Yeah, they're not. In my mind's eye, they're not. They are there to stoke the fire, to be relevant. Yeah, and they are part of the problem. This is the reason why I don't want none of these leaders, any of these black leaders, Indian leaders who I see speakers corners on the television and questions time. I love all of them. You understand? Yeah, I'm not feeling none of them whatsoever. And the newest person who's my number one target is Trevor Phillips. I don't know if you guys have seen what's going on with him. That broke my heart because I remember him as a young boy. He used to be the presenter of the London programme. If there's anyone who's born in the 70s, who's in their 40s and their 50s, you'd remember that. You understand? And for this guy to be a columnist for the Daily Mail? Like what the? Yeah, he's a columnist for the Daily Mail and obviously Sky. You understand? So you can see the connections there. Rupert Murdoch, Conrad Blackall, the guy who owns, you know, absolute racist individuals who I remember, you know? Like for you to sell out like that and for you to make out that there's, you know, there's only one group of people who've been oppressed, like, you're vile. You're vile. So these are some of my issues here with working class. Sometimes we shouldn't even see them so much as an enemy. I'm not saying that you ever said that because you didn't. You understand? But we need to wake them up. Yeah? There are other white people who are middle class who need to wake them up. They need to be woken up because only via their intervention can anything stop.
Yes. Yeah, it's not our job to do it. We're just having the conversation. It's up to other white people to get them to understand. And this is what I always say to them. I always say to white people, why are you taking the piss out of your own? Like, why are you doing that? It's literally, we are decolonizing. We are the ones who've actually suffered all this shit. So why are you actually going after your own? I'm not here to help you. But why are you going after your own? It doesn't make any sense. You're literally playing the game of the elite. If you're talking about saving the country and you feel like you can't leave the UK, you feel like you're energetically tied, physically tied, whatever it is, why are you then doing the work for the 1%? Because that's exactly what you're doing. If you're not reaching out your olive branch to those people in the lower classes, because if you believe this class system, and that's what you think. But a lot of the time you do see that arrogance as well that comes when people of white background move up these classes, right? They don't bring the people up with them. They don't do it. They don't do it. They really don't bring people up with them. They're just all interested then once they go to the next class of who else they can get connections with and be around in that place. They do not bring their monies back to the community and do shit like that. And that's why it always stays so separate. Yeah,
so as we're speaking, I can see some of the comments here. Some people say vote reform. Whenever you see certain white working class peoples in forums like this here, the level of articulation, you can clearly see it. They make these outlandish statements that has no merit, has no context. And when you ask them a simple question, then and then they get angry with you. They may say some kind of, limited speech and disrespect you or something along those lines. Call you a monkey or something. And then it's over. You know what I'm saying? Because they know deep down in their heart, you're supposed to be with us. We are supposed to be stopping, the individuals that control. And the individuals that control everything, they're not even all white. A lot of them, there are people too. Yeah, but these are the beneficiaries of why they can have such lives. They distract us when we, it's so sad that there's not more platforms like this where we can articulate ourselves and speak amongst peers and really kind of come together and create something. Because, man, sometimes I'm not a TikTok person, but I come on here and I see some of these guys that got these platforms and they're talking about crime. They're talking about, it's so sad. It's so pathetic.
Thank you. I bet.
You know what I'm saying?
Really and truly.
So thank you.
Oh, please, brother, thank you. So even actually yesterday I was involved in a conversation. I mean, generally people who know who I am and come by, you guys know I talk of all different races, and I also have a black and brown unity panel with M's at the top, which we haven't done in some time, but it's always about how to unite us as people and to remember who we are, right? And I genuinely want to do more black specific panels. And yesterday I literally said this: we need to have more black conversation, because I'm so disappointed with the conversations of how the black diaspora has literally been manipulated, as we know, by the white man and playing all those stupid ass games to make us stay stuck, right? I've always been on the case of we need to go higher. So I'm actually going to be doing more conversations like that. So thank you for saying that, Amari. And please, every black person, if you're here, please do click my follow button up there, because the conversations are going to start really soon. So thank you so much for your comments, Amari. So lovely to speak to you, really and truly. And please do stick around for as long as you can. I'm going to move to Bollywood now as well. So
thank you.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Bollywood, it's so good to see you. It's been some time.
I know it's been ages now, because you know what? I've been working for Pop. I just got hired as a general manager, and because I've been opening a new store, so I've been moving up and down to the whole Midlands. But yeah, coming back to the topic, I think I think first of all, I think the main point, they have to be, as I said, as Amari said, first of all, they have to be very articulate. They should know that, and I'm going to bring this topic very, this is the reason why most of the reform voters are not educated on this. When we talk about British indigenous people, talking about Ice Age and then how many empire. This is the thing. And I was watching this video of a lady, I think she's at Oxford University, right? And I will share it with you, and I've added to my favorites. And the way she explained that to be British and all that stuff, because even if they say it should be full of white people, no, it was not, to be honest, and I think it was not. And it's sad, they don't even teach their own history in the syllabus, which is another part. And this is the reason why the far right, the far right had just picked up on one topic, saying mass immigration, but there are other things which is not other things happening. And the other thing I was going to say, talking out of experience, look, I have been working in hospitality for 15 years, and I'm going to be very honest with you. I get CVs and everything. I get CVs and everything, and the amount of reduction in the numbers of the British white people in CVs, I can see it. They are not applying for your jobs. Wow. And you know what? This is the you know what? The thing is, they don't want to listen to reality. If you show them the mirror, they're just going to and you will see most of the reform voters I have seen, I would say not all of them, they are educated, but I would say 70 to 80% of them probably haven't worked in their life. Yeah. And the only reason...
I'm just going to interrupt you a second, because what you just said about the mirror is something that I also say. I always say, right, we hold up the mirror for you to reflect upon yourself, but instead you see it as a window and you look through to the person who's actually holding that mirror. So that's why they get upset. They can't reflect upon themselves. Well said. Thank you. Please continue.
Yeah, and you know what, JT801, first of all, you know what, I don't work in the NHS. I don't know about the NHS, but I'm telling you, look, I have been working in recruitment and all that stuff, but I'm talking from my experience. And first of all, this is the thing, if you got something to say, first of all, what kind of, don't hide behind fake profiles and all that stuff. Have the courage, have the balls, come on the panel and speak about it. Because you know what? If you want to be true, authentic of yourself, don't hide behind. And you know what I have seen in the social media? Most of the people, those who are saying, well, we're home, 90 to 95% have got no faceless. They're faceless profiles.
Yes.
And I think, folks, you have known that I have noticed the pattern and all that stuff. But as I said, they don't want to listen. They really don't want to listen. Simple as that. They really don't want to listen. And I'm telling you, I have worked with all sorts of people, right? And I'm not even lying as well. I'm still in touch with them. And you know what? They are way above. They are way above. Like I work with I got so many British, and now still I hang out with them and all that stuff. And they never had this narrative and all that stuff. It's the way, you know, because the government knows how to manipulate people, and they are attacking, as I said, the working class. They are manipulating them, and the people need to stand up now. But the thing is, like, unfortunately, it is what it is. Like, you are trying our best. You're trying your best to educate them, but they don't want to listen. That's what it is. They don't want to listen. Simple as that. Anything.
That depends in what way you try and educate people.
1 minute, JT. We'll bring you in a minute. Just bear with a minute, because I think you were responding.
Yeah. So I just want to say, like, listen. Without as I said, immigration. You know, you wouldn't be. The thing is, like, imagine if everything goes off right now. How the benefits are going to get paid and all that stuff. And you know, as I said, coming back and said, why working class as such victims, they were not back in the days. It's just like and out of respect, I will say most of the, like, you know, the girls, the ladies are better than the boys. It's just like I'm talking out of experience because I worked with all of them, and as I said, I have seen the reduction in the number of, like, British white people applying for jobs, and it is what it is, and I'm saying facts.
Yeah,
I just rest my case.
Everything you discuss and everything that we know is facts. Like, and that's why the conversation has moved to white working class boys. That has literally been in the news. It's been in the reports. There's been studies about it. And again,
I will add one more.
Yes,
I'm going to add one more thing as well. You know, now they're saying the universities are becoming bankrupt. Okay. You will see the success ratio of other ethnicity as compared to the British white people. You will see, look, they don't want to work. I'm going to be honest with you. They don't want to work 7 days a week. They don't want to do, because that's what I know you need your break. But the thing is, like, when it comes to other ethnicity people, they work hard. They got their houses way before, you know, before the people, yeah. And then they're still sitting down there getting jealous, like, oh, how he's got this, how he's got the house, how he's got this and that. You need to change your thinking. You need to change your way of working and all that stuff, rather than sitting and feeling sorry for yourself. And the thing is, like, listen, I am a Sikh Punjabi, right? My great-grandfather was brought down here after Sikh, and Foxy, I told you this before as well. We equally contributed to the economy. We were brought here by choice, by your choice. Simple as that. And we are contributing as much to the economy. And I'm going to be honest with you. My partner, he's British. He's white British, right? And I never had a problem and all that stuff. So I don't understand that why these people are acting like victims. They literally are. You will see, even with the GCSEs, like, ask them any geography question, ask them any history question, and oh, girl, I'm telling you right now, they have no clue. They can't even do simple maths. I'm sorry to say, they can't do even simple maths. And then you say that we're coming here, we're taking your jobs. We're just doing the jobs which you don't want to guys do. Simple as that. Yeah. Point blank, period. Yeah. Simple as that.
And Shady in the comment section said exactly that, and picking up on what you've said, is about laziness is literally their privilege. Claiming benefits is literally their privilege. Why would they go out and do these jobs? And actually, interestingly, I did used to go out somebody whose sister used to say, there's no point me going to get a job because I actually get paid more in benefits. I've got 2 children and the system does not allow me to actually work and look after children. So I might as well stay home, get money, and then I don't need to worry about childcare. So, you know, the system also allows people to stay in that and use that, you know. So, you know, people need to understand a little bit more than they can. Unfortunately, asking them to stretch their thinking a little bit more is a bit of a challenge. Thank you so much, Bollywood. We're going to go to Mimi now. Mimi, hello, lovely. Are you okay?
Morning.
Morning.
I'm good, thank you. I'm running out because I've got to do capitalism, but I wanted to come on because I'm concerned that as much as people are saying platitudes and stuff, and it sounds great, they're inadvertently falling into the same trap as the racists. I don't really like this idea that people are feckless or lazy, or, well, depends who we're talking about actually, but we need to be careful about us taking on alt-right talking points and internalizing that and thinking that we need to use it. There is no need for anyone who's an immigrant to this country to have to justify that they've been of benefit or of value to this country. We are human beings, and it's the lack of humanity which is why these racists feel that they are able to do what they're doing. I don't subscribe to the good immigrant narrative. If you want to come here and sit all day on benefits, I have no issue with you, because that's not my lifestyle. And so
That's insane.
well, you can have your insanity with manners. So if you want to do that, that's up to you. And the funny thing is, he's saying it's insane, but a lot of the white working class currently in this country are doing that. But I, as a black...
How can you be working class and on benefits? Just quickly, just to ask a question.
Shut up. Like, honestly.
Okay, that's nice and respectful.
The funny thing is, I've got to run and catch my train, so I really don't have time for the back and forth, because you know I like to spar with a racist. And I know they're flocking into your page because you've been named on someone else's page as well. So big up yourself for being here this morning. We love to see it. What I was trying to say is, I don't care about whether or not people want to sit at home or not, because that doesn't detract from their humanity. And to the racist guy who was trying to interrupt, if he'd allowed me to land, he would have understood where I was going with this. We are all human beings. I don't care who or what you're doing. Some people can't work, some people choose not to work. That's not my business. What concerns me is that we live in the 8th richest, largest country in the world. The economic output that we provide is enough to fund people. I strongly believe in universal basic income. I strongly believe with automation and AI coming down the line, these conversations will be redundant. But what they're doing, and the elites that are doing it, they're using and weaponizing the gullible white working class to do their bidding for them. You cannot tell me that bad teeth Nigel Farage has your interest at heart when he's already brought you out of Brexit, and the day after bringing you out of Brexit, he dumped you like a hot potato. That man is a Russian agent. And the fact that they are so willfully obtuse when it comes to him and dense tells me all I need to know about these white working class people, which is why I agree. I do not subscribe to this notion that black women should be leading or having any education conversation. We ain't doing it. That's why, Fox, that's why I rock with you, because I ain't doing it. Because at the end of the day, these people will betray you and as we've seen in the elections, they betray themselves. Yes. You cannot seek unity with people who are disunified and are happy within themselves. As black people, we come into countries or we move because of imperialism and colonialism. We are always here because your people fast and went there. If you didn't want us in your country, you should have left us alone. But you can't. And I'm not leaving, and none of my other Caribbean people or anyone else who was in the transatlantic slavery, we're not leaving until you run us back our money and our reparations. It's that simple. So whilst we're here together, what can we do? One of the things that I keep saying, and I said it before on your panel, is that the white working class needs to give their heads a wobble and look into their history. And you just said it yourself as well. You need to look at your trade union relations, and how people fought for those rights that you are so willfully allowing to be denigrated. There is a reason why we stopped sending your kids up to the chimney. There's a reason why we have health and safety laws. There is a reason why we have human rights laws. And the gag is, you guys think that by getting rid of the Equalities Act, it's going to impact us. You will be impacted first. I tell you that for nothing, because it's very rare that you hear a case for race going through on the EHR, but you do hear about paternity or maternity, you do hear about age discrimination, and you do hear about disability, of which your people tend to have a lot. Why? Because your government is happy for you to sit in mold infested and rat infested homes, and rather than you tackling that injustice and unifying with people who are about that life and want better for everybody, you are choosing to punch down. And it goes back to that LBJ saying, if you can convince the poorest man that he can punch down on somebody else, i.e. the black people, you can pick his pockets. You guys are willfully opening up your back cracks for capitalism, and it doesn't make sense. Your forefathers knew this. That is why they broke you under the union movement. That is why when the poll tax came out, they were frightened and they changed it to council tax. None of you, if you look at any of the advancements socially that has happened in society, it has not been at the cost of white people. It's always been at the ethnic global majority, because you lot have become complacent. You have status. You'd rather have status than economic sanity. It doesn't make sense. You've played yourselves. And in this new incumbent that's coming in now, it won't be about race, because the techno-feudalists, the Elon Musks of the world and the PayPal mafia that are out there, Peter Thiel and all the rest of it. You see what's happening with Plantier? Your health records are being sold. You're not getting any money back from that. And rather than you going out to protest and listen to like people like the Scouse Oracle, Anti-Racist Mum, and the other people who are talking about this, you'd rather punch down on black and brown people because you believe us to be easy targets. The gag is the rest of the world, just like we are, we're fed up of you, and you flood into our lives, you flood into our spaces with your racism. We're so used to it, we don't even care. Do you know what's so funny? Is the person who named you, I don't think they realise that they've done you a service because you just validated everything that's going on. They're talking about division.
I don't even know who.
I'll see if I can send it to you later.
I don't even know. I don't even care.
Yeah,
the whole point
is
that we're supposed to have these conversations. My name is supposed to be in people's mouths, because if it hasn't so far, then that's a problem for me, because really I am the one, and there are many people who, well, actually that's a lie, there are not many people, unfortunately, who are being as honest as they can be about living in Britain and understanding history, as we talk about, understanding politics, understanding spirituality, all of those things that are overlapping. Not many people are actually understanding that in Britain. So I'm glad my name is finally in someone else's mouth so that more people can understand what the fuck we're talking about. Thank you so much, Mimi. There were so many good points.
I'm gonna go as well. Thank you. Listen, love what you're doing. I'm still gonna lurk, but I have to run and catch this train because of capitalism. So as I go around and I'm earning money for the white working class who are sat at home or, you know, choosing not to go out to work today, just spare that thought. Rather than looking at black people online as the target, perhaps you should investigate your own social history and what your ancestors had to fight for, and stop being fragile.
Thank you. I'm going to give a clap. Hold on, a clap to you. Because Mimi always spits. Please do follow her. She's a great activist as well. I'm also going to give a clap to Bollywood as well. Thank you. Excellent point. And also for Amari as well. Because 3 out of 3 excellent guests with excellent points. So thank you so much on the panel. I am going to just skip to JT, because JT has felt like he need to pop up and say a few things. Somebody said something earlier. I think Amari, he was saying some stuff in the chat. Mimi said some stuff. He had to unmute. So JT, what is it that you want to add to the conversation? Why are white working class such victims?
I wouldn't agree with the point personally that they're victims to a sense. I mean, there's a lot of points being made. I don't really know what to follow up on specifically. There's a lot of people saying that I'm a racist without even hearing me speak. To be honest, I don't really appreciate that. The fact that a lot of people are stating that it's just white working class people that are sat at home getting money from the government, I don't understand how that can be the case. If you're a working class person, that would assume that you are working, in a sense. And just to make the point that it is only ethnically white people that are a net fiscal contributor to the economy. Actually, if you look up the stats, every single other ethnic group actually costs the country money, unfortunately. That's publicly available information. I've literally got the stats in front of me. I can read them to you if you like.
JT, when you get your news from Facebook or from JB News,
not Facebook,
or GB News, one of those two resources, or the Centre for Migration Control, then you've lost already. You're supposed to be looking at facts from gov.co.uk or Statistica. I can never say it. There's too many S's in that.
So what about the Office of National Statistics?
The ONS?
The ONS.
One thing, I don't want to interrupt it. 71 to 77% of the ethnic white people are on universal credit, right? Listen, JT, this is what I'm trying to explain to you. You need to get your facts right. They don't teach you these things.
That still doesn't change the contribution numbers.
2.1%, 2.2% is like Asian and all that stuff. So this is the problem, because they are not telling you. They are not telling you. That's what it is.
Because people are on benefits as well as working. Some people work as well as claiming benefits.
So hold on. You have to understand that disability claimant is also a thing.
No. I'm not on about disability. I'm not on about disability.
Don't interrupt, okay? So you need to actually understand the brain.
You're allowing everybody else to interrupt.
Aaron.
No, I won't listen, because you're not letting people talk.
Deny. You're dropped, okay? The way I run my panel is, as everybody understands, except for you, Aaron, is you've sat here this whole time. You've seen I called Amari. I called Bollywood. I even skipped M's to go up to JT. Aaron, you can't control yourself. You were just told 3 times, please relax yourself. Everybody gets a chance on my panel. If you don't have any self-regulation and self-control, speak to yourself about that, because that's not my problem at all. JT, you're talking about the universal credit statistics. What I said earlier...
Not universal credit. That was Bollywood.
But it's still the same thing. You're talking about benefits, right? You're talking about benefits.
Well, essentially, yeah.
Well, yes, that's what universal credit system is. That's the name of it. It's called universal credit, right? So when you're talking about other ethnic groups and you're trying to say that people are overrepresented in that group, this is where you have to actually understand history. And this is the problem. This is why we've talked about history so far. This is why I talk about history on my platform. When the British...
Well, I don't understand what history has to do with it. Would you clarify?
Did you hear me talking? Can you hear me talking?
Okay, I apologise. That's fine for everyone else to interrupt.
I'm just about to explain it to you, okay? So, when people's countries are destabilised by the British, you have no idea, they have nothing. Our great-grandparents literally came with £20 in their pockets. Sometimes not even that, sometimes £10, okay? So they have nothing. They come to the countries and then, of course, they need some kind of leg up to rebuild after everything has been destroyed. Okay, so that makes sense, right? If you have nothing, you need to have a little bit of help. In the UK, the 5th richest country, it does not make sense for any white person at all to be on benefits. And this is not to insult white working class people. It's just to get you to realise that this is a very, very, very rich country, and the system that has been built around you has not served you in the way that it should. And the fact of the matter is that we also do have white people who have decided to stay on benefits because they feel like they can't come out of the system and actually create opportunities for themselves. That's the problem.
So that's a fault of the system, not the people.
You're busy interrupting because you're not getting the point. Let me say it again.
I'm getting the point.
No, you're not. This is what happens, is that you get defensive and then you try to say something else of what we're not even talking about. You've got this idea in your mind that is so clear, that is so wrong. It is very wrong, okay? Understand that people that have been economically destabilised for hundreds of years have had to come to the UK to get a leg up again and then leave the system. And it is a very small percentage. I think the last statistics I did, it's literally only 0.1% or even 2% of the population, right? From the ethnic global majority, it is only 2%. It is very, very low, okay? So these people have been destabilised. Only 2% of them, 2% of the country, ethnic people are using the benefit system. The 75% or 76%, whatever it is on, is white people. And there should be no white person in the UK on benefits. Not a single one. Not a single person of white skin should be on benefits, right?
Okay, so there's no disabled white people.
Well, yeah, of course, disability counts because that's the reason why the benefit system was set up for disabled people.
Well, that's a bit of.
That's why it was set up.
It's a bit of a. I don't know. What would you say? It's a very exclusive statement to just say that white people shouldn't be claiming benefits. I mean, if people are going through.
I did not say that. I did not.
You just said that any person with white skin should not be claiming benefits.
Understand the sentence correctly. If you live...
Any white person with white skin shouldn't be claiming benefits. I heard you clearly.
Don't worry, you just rephrase and just re-paraphrase and say it in a way that you want. Go on, because that's not what I said, and that's not the point.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. That's exactly what I heard.
That you're wrong. Let me say it again, slowly, in a different way. This is the 5th richest country, okay? There is $4.26 trillion in GDP in the UK. Explain to me why poverty exists amongst white people.
Poor financial decisions, poor money management, not making good decisions. That's all personal issues.
Yeah, exactly.
Varies by each person.
Yes, exactly. But it also is to do with the country. And thank you, Gareth, the corporate system. So if the country was working correctly, do you not think that white people should not be on benefits at all, except for disabled people? Why it was set up?
If the country was working correctly, I'd say that nobody should really be on benefits.
Yeah, correct.
Doesn't matter whether they were white, black, brown, anything.
It does, JT, because you also don't understand simultaneously that the country was built upon race and racism. There was a racial hierarchy that was installed during the British Empire to keep black people at the top and Asians in the middle somewhere, and then it's whoever was the lightest skin of white at the top. You can literally look it up after this conversation.
You say this, but there was conflicts all over the world for thousands of years.
It is too simple.
It's
not really, because
JT,
I mean, if you want to go back even,
JT,
okay,
JT,
I'll sit and wait. I'll sit and wait for 10 minutes.
JT, you as a white English person, unfortunately, has been so brainwashed by propaganda that that is the only script you're willing to stick to. Are you able to just listen and open your mind just a little bit to understand what we're saying? Are you able?
Yeah, I'm able. I'd appreciate if I could speak for longer than 30 seconds though as well.
But the thing is, you can't speak on things you haven't got the grasp of.
Well, if you listen to me speak, maybe you'd understand.
No, because the things that you've said so far, you don't understand.
Okay, of course.
I'm not coming at you, right? I have to always say this. I am a very passionate speaker. I know my shit. I know I've also been brainwashed as well by British propaganda. If you asked me to talk like this 3 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to. But I've also had to educate myself. I've also had to do the research. I've also had to understand how my people, your people, all of us here have all been manipulated. And I'm not willing to stay underneath the brainwashing. I'm not willing to do that for myself. I encourage you to, JT, not to do that for yourself either. Because if you want to progress in life, and you want to get rich and you want to have a great family and want to have great friends and have literally opportunities in this life, it requires you to not repeat propaganda that your country has told you. That is important.
Personally, I'd just like to say I think I'm doing quite well for myself anyway. But if you wanted to just touch on the history, I mean, as I was going to try and do, if you want to go back to the colonial era of Africa when you had multiple tribes that were enslaving other tribes and then...
I've just muted JT.
Please stop.
I've just muted JT.
Please
so you
stop,
see what happens?
the
The conversation is about the... 1 minute, Amari. The conversation is about the white working class. Every single time they have to go all the way across the water to another continent. They have to go to Africa.
You were just telling me you wanted to touch on history.
Our history has nothing to do with your history, like at all. The conversation is white working class. What has Africans got to do with white working class people? What? Amari, I'm going to bring you in now. Amari.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Listen, is it JT? Yeah. No one, hates you or anything, because we don't know you or anything. The problem is, is you have an outlook that has been poisoned by a historical lies and propaganda. Yeah, you have this idea that migrants, black people, Asian people have not been beneficial to the UK. Yeah, you are seriously wrong there, sir. Yeah, the problem here is that where we're talking about working class white individuals, this has been repackaged probably 3 to 4 times in the last 70 years. Since my grandparents arrived here in the 1950s. Yeah? And it's the same old boring cliche. Yeah? You must understand, yeah? This particular lady here said something quite pivotal earlier on where she spoke about the replacement of working class of slaves. This is something that I suggest you look into and research right up till now. It won't take you a week or a month. It will take you maybe a year or two. Once you get that information, you will understand how we got here. How we got here. You understand? You must understand this. That where you listen to these false rhetorics from the Nigel Farages, the Richard Tices, yeah, they're laughing at you. They dislike you. They don't like you. I'm being serious with you, sir. Yeah, they dislike you maybe more so than they dislike me, because I'm middle class. You understand? So I must let you know this, sir. Yeah, know who the true enemy is. No one here is your enemy. We can all articulate, we can all debate, and we can respect each other. But trust me, if you're going to open up your mouth and say something, yeah, please refrain from the pseudo-intellectual BS that's been given to you. Yeah, talk sense. Listen to this particular lady, because she's doing you a serious credit, and I'm really thankful for this platform. You know, I'm done now, but please listen and know that she's giving you factual evidence. Yeah, I wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Really appreciate that so much, really and truly. Like Amari said, and like I've said, is that I don't have a go at you. I think you guys get triggered by the fact that I have a very direct voice, passive aggressiveness as part of English culture. You don't like the fact that we're talking to you directly about truth and history, because that is literally not the culture of Britain. You guys like to go around the houses and have all of these lies, and you accept that as truth. Whereas it feels so uncomfortable that somebody else is telling you exactly what is happening in the country and has happened historically and is repeating the story presently, right? It doesn't make sense to you guys. So that's why you need to spend more time just listening. Stop being so defensive. Stop being, in this mindset. If you want to progress even more, if you don't, honestly, we don't care. Like, we literally don't care. Black and brown people don't care. But this is just the conversation we're having today. Right, I'm going to go to Ems now, because Ems has been waiting, but I just needed to go around to JT to speak to him for a little bit. So, Ems, good morning. Lovely. How are you?
You right, folks?
Yes.
Yeah, not too bad yourself.
Yeah,
look, I think what it is when you need to look at it is the reason why the UK is in the state that it is the government doesn't invest properly in its infrastructure. So I'll use an example when it comes to Japan. Okay, in Japan, for like certain people that have a disability where they're literally like lying on the bed, they can't move any part of the body, like their arms or their legs, but they still have the capacity to work because the government has invested the infrastructure into that. So what they do is they'll have like a little tablet hanging above their face. They'll have a stylus pen and they'll put it in their mouth. And what they'll do is they'll operate a robot, because we know that quite a significant restaurants in Japan, you're not served by people, you're served by robots. And they operate these robots from the comfort of their own bed. So they earn a living that way. So that just shows, that's an example that the government is putting some kind of infrastructure for people who, let's say, are vulnerable or are a disability, to at least give them some kind of capacity to work and obviously earn a living themselves. Okay. Now, look, when it comes to the topic, okay, why are they such victims? I think what it is because when it comes to white working class people, they have difficulty seeing like what kind of privilege it is. And I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here, okay? So when we look at working class background, whatever demographic it is, whether someone's black, brown, or Asian, we can experience some of the same issues to a degree. Now, the reason why I say it to a degree, we can experience living off payslip to payslip. We can experience being in a position where we have difficulty paying off a bill. Yeah. But at the same time, folks, we all have access to the same free education. And when we look at GCSE results, unfortunately, the YT population is underperforming. Now, when it comes to, obviously, employment, yeah, we're actually at a disadvantage because there's obviously racial biases in terms of employment. And I'll give a personal example here. One of my friends who's Nigerian, he told me an experience that his sister went through. She applied for a job. She didn't get an interview. She reapplied shortly after for the exact same job. She used the exact same CV. The only difference this time, in the second time round, she changed her name and then she got an interview. And I always say this to people, why is it that she got an interview the second time that she applied, but not the first time? If she used the exact same CV, the only difference she did in the second time round is she changed her name, because that employer obviously had a racial bias. So although we have access to the same free education, at the same time, you need to understand that there's certain racial biases that some companies employ, which puts people of an ethnic minority at a disadvantage. So while I can understand whilst white working class people obviously struggle in some regards to how we struggle, the same barriers are not put in place.
Yeah. On that
Now,
note,
when we look
on
at
that note, I'm glad that you brought that up because I actually was researching a little bit more about work opportunities and, of course, the social classes represented by ethnicity. So this is data, right, from the 2021 census, okay, and this is about occupation and employment status. So in the representation in the highest social classes, right? So these are people in higher managerial, administrative, professional jobs. And this is basically classed as the top tier of the UK's socio-economic structure. While the majority of this group is white, reflecting the overall population, certain ethnic groups are disproportionately represented in high status roles, okay? So the overall breakdown of the professional class is that it is 84.5% white, okay? High class is 84.5%. The next is Asian at 9.2%, Black is 2.6%, Mixed is 2%, and other is 1.8%. Indian individuals have the highest percentage of higher managerial professional occupations in all 19 ethnic groups in the UK. Okay, so Indian has the most. Then it's white Irish people have the highest proportion of AB social grade, higher and intermediate managerial professional at 36.9% compared to the national average of 23%. Okay, so Indian people are overrepresented in the higher managerial roles. And as I did a quiz a few weeks ago, as you guys know, the richest family in the UK is Indian. Through at 36 billion, was it, or something like that? Crazy money from the richest family in the UK, an Indian family. And then if you go down to the never worked section, okay, so this is about who has never worked and who has been long-term unemployed. This represents the lowest socio-economic group, and it shows that ethnic groups are often overrepresented, which is what we're talking about, right? So where there's things like racial disparity, you're going to have more people from those ethnic groups on benefits. That's just generally how it's going to happen, because of course there's not going to be financial backing from them because of what's happened in their countries previously, okay? So 81.7% of the white population, 72.7% have never worked and have never been employed, okay? Asian is 15.8%, Black is 5.1%, right? And it says the white group is the only major category that is underrepresented in the long-term unemployed group relative to its general population, right? So that makes sense. White people are supposed to be underrepresented when it comes to unemployment. This is a white country. This is a white system. Every single white person should have a job in the 5th richest country, right? But then if you go down to actually about income and poverty trends, right? The Bangladeshi and Pakistani group, these groups are twice as likely to be in the bottom 5th of incomes. So 47% of Pakistanis and 37% of Bangladeshi households live in the lowest income brackets, right? And in Black households, around 31% are in the bottom lowest bracket as well. And it's statistically proven that Black people are more likely to live in persistent poverty than white families. But outside of the white group, Chinese are the top earners at 27% and Indian at 25%. And they're more likely to live in a household in the top 5th in income distribution. Like I said previously, I've talked about buffer class. I've talked about history. We've talked about the Indian Asian migration to the UK and how there was actually needed to have that gap between the white and the Black because they wanted to keep Black people at the bottom. So the fact is, like I say, if there are Black people on benefits, that should actually be happening. It should be happening, but not enough of us are on benefits. Not enough Black people are on benefits based on what has happened historically. There are too many white people on benefits based on what has happened historically. Yeah, JT, this is going to go over your head. Everybody else is understanding it, but you don't get it. You're not understanding statistics and the statistics that you need to listen to instead of all of your propaganda. Jesus, JT, you're really not getting it, bro. Like at all. There's no other way that this can be explained. Yes, Ems, please add one more thing.
So what I'm going to say is, like, when we look at Margaret Thatcher, okay, now the thing is, the country had to diversify. If you don't diversify and adapt, you're gonna get left behind. So when we look at the case of where she sort of privatized a lot of the industries, now we obviously know a lot of the manufacturing was happening up north of the country. Okay, what I disagree with was the implementation of that. So when she obviously sold off and privatized a lot of industries, this obviously meant that people who worked in manufacturing or labor-based jobs were basically out of a job. Then what happened is the UK become more of a service-based industry, particularly in financial services. But what happened is the money, the investment, the time and energy wasn't focused properly or spread evenly in the right areas. A lot of it was spent down in the south. This is why you have the north and south divide. So a lot of people who live in the northern areas are deprived because obviously when those industries got privatized, the people living in those areas weren't upskilled in tech industries or financial service industries to get the necessary skills and qualifications to move in that direction. Now, that isn't the fault of immigrants. That's the fault of obviously the government, and then the exit strategy that they employed, the implementation of it was very, very poor.
Thank you so much, Ems. Thank you. We're going to move to Dunk now. Dunk, how are you today? Dunk on the panel?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, thank you.
Good. So what would you like to add to the today?
Yeah, I would just like to touch up on Ems's comments about, jobs and such with black people. Obviously, I work in a job that requires production. So the job that I work in, you're going to see a large amount of multicultural people working in, such as Polish people, Lithuanians, Russians, Ukrainians. But the large amount of people that I've seen working in my job are Africans. And, you hear the old saying in Britain anyway from the common white person is, oh, all the immigrants are taking the jobs. What I will say is, the job that I work in is remote, so well, not remote, sorry, it's in the middle of nowhere. So it's quite difficult to get to. And to the city centre, it's about 20 miles away. So the company put on a bus, and that bus has to leave the location at, 4 o'clock in the morning. And when the bus arrives, it's all Africans that are working at my factory. And a lot of people say, oh, well, all the immigrants are taking the jobs and such. Well, what I would like to say is, what is your excuse? You don't have an excuse to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning like those people to come and work in production, packing food or cleaning or whatever. These people are. And I've heard so many excuses from people in the past regarding immigrants. They're taking the jobs, they're taking this and that, and they're here to get free this and that. Well, it's like, but if you're on benefits for so many years, that just proves that you're lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I'm getting at. So
yeah, most definitely. I want to also preface that as well by saying that benefit fraud really is such a low percentage. By the way, it is a low percentage, and the idea of laziness does exist, but I don't think it's the biggest problem. I think generally, when it comes to certain industries and like that, thank you, this is better. It literally is like 0.00002%, right? Where that mindset exists. I think the problem is like what Amari said earlier, and I'm not sure if you heard what he said. He said the media have literally made it so that anybody in the white working class who feels like they're working class, and people who even work feel like, they're still being hard done by. They're still thinking that even if they've got a job, they think an immigrant is going to take the job from them that they already have. That also exists in the field.
Also, where I stay, it's in a council area. So we have, I'm pretty sure you guys have it in England as well. Just like here in Scotland, you have home carers that, look after the elderly, give them the medication, feed them, do whatever they need. Just basically looking after them. I have over 6 or 7 women that stay in my area that are home carers, and they're African. And, they're as nice as it could possibly be. And they're up every day, every morning, and they're coming home late at night. And they're doing the jobs that other people, especially white people, that I've heard as many times would say, oh, I wouldn't do a job like that. Why would I want to go, clean someone's backside or what? But it's, the way I look at it is an absolute disgrace that these people are saying that. But yet it takes someone who stays 3,500 miles away to come and do the job and loves the job. It's baffling. It's absolutely baffling.
We come from a very caring culture. Like, looking after people is literally our culture. And unfortunately, it's not in English culture. I bring up this example all the time, right? English families, when they have their old people in homes, do they visit them? No. My mum actually used to work My mum actually used to work in an old people's home, and she worked there for 20 years. And she always used to say it was so sad that the families would only come when the family member was on their last days, and they were literally worrying about who's going to get the will. What's the will? What's the will? And that's why I say it is completely cultural. It is an understanding that you should have a care, even if you don't feel comfortable, looking after people from an older age, or you don't want to wipe their backsides, as Doug said, which is actually part of the job role. If you're desperate for money, then you should be wanting to do any kind of job. But this is the problem with English people. They have such a privilege that they think that they can pick and choose what kind of job. I also claim benefits as well. After I graduated university, I couldn't find a job. Going to the job centre is absolutely soul destroying. It's not a nice place to be. But to see people picking and choosing what kind of job, there was thousands of jobs on the board, thousands of jobs available, and you see them being like, no, don't want to do that. No, like, can you afford not to do that? No.
Yeah,
no.
Exactly.
And even the woman at the job centre was surprised that I came off, because I was not on it for very long. I actually had to relocate. This is a conversation we've had before about needing to relocate in the country where there's more opportunity. I moved 150 miles away to get a job. I then ended up making good money, and I got a house and all these things, right? I moved from my home. I wasn't even near where I went to secondary education or where I went to university. I moved very far. And when I went to the job centre, I said, thank you. I found a job. I'm really happy about it. The woman, she looked at me and been like, well, good for you then. So the system also doesn't want people to succeed either. So you really have to be of a different level of thinking if you want to do good in the UK, because it's not set up for that.
Yeah, I would also like to add, I also think when Tony Blair was in charge, I'm sure, quote me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure he introduced the Immigration Pact or something where, a small amount of Eastern Europeans, like Polish, Lithuanians, Slovakians, came over to do labour work in the UK. There was no massive uproar about that. But as soon as, the common black person from Nigeria, Ghana, as soon as they start coming over, there's a massive uproar.
Yeah.
I think it's due to these people are ignorant, they're racist, and it's down to their skin colour.
Yeah.
But also, I would like to add, I'm 31 years old. And when I was about 3 years old, I was in hospital because of, you might laugh, you might not, but one of my bollocks was enlarged. It was enlarged, sorry.
Do you know what I'm going to laugh at? I'm going to laugh at the way you
said bollocks. It was a doctor that removed it.
The way you said bollocks, that's the bit I love the best. In your Scottish accent, saying bollocks is beautiful.
One of the doctors that actually, removed my bollock and put it back to where it's supposed to be was black. So there you go.
Thank you for sharing such a personal story with us, Doug. So lovely. Thank you so much.
No, but you have to understand where I'm coming from. Like when all these Eastern Europeans came over, they're great people. I know a great bunch. Yeah. And the majority of my workmates are African, and they're great. And I will say one thing about the Africans at my work is they've never had a day off. The only day they've had off was a holiday. And their attendance is spot on, absolutely spot on. And they're great to be with us. Always, hi Duncan, how are you? How are you? And they're great Christians. Not one bad word comes out of their mouth. They're just great. They just get on with it. And I don't understand the negativity. I think it's, the white man's getting replaced. I don't know.
Yeah.
But majority of these people are harmless. Of course you're going to get the odd person that becomes an idiot and commits crime. Of course you're going to get that. And they should be dealt with, of course. But
Yeah, but
Life is life.
It's such a
We all bleed the
it's such
same.
a
We all bleed
minority issue. It's such a it's such a small issue. All of these issues that the government and the media are trying to push towards white working class people, or even white people generally in the UK. It is such a everything is always to do with minorities and the things that actually don't affect white people directly. None of these things that they're actually talking about, and none of the things that we talked about or we're talking about as a population affect white people. The things that directly affect white people is history. And this is why they don't understand it. Is literally everything that has been done to them historically, because they have not seen what's happened beforehand. They're just living in a present day, and they're just understanding what the government and media want them to understand, which is actually everything is wrong. Everything that they're literally being told is 100% wrong. And that's the problem. Thank you so much, Dunk. We've got Ems who's going to ask, he's going to follow up something. And then I'm going to bring back JT for a little bit to see if, and I don't want to put pressure on JT, and you don't have to respond if you don't want to, JT, but I want to know if you kind of understood a little bit more from our conversation what we're actually talking about. But like I say, JT, don't feel like you need to unmute when I call you. Then just listen more if you'd like to. Okay, Ems, what would you like to add?
So one thing I'll say is when we look at Brexit, we saw a reduction of EU migration because a lot of EU migrants that were in the UK ended up going back to Poland, Romania, because they felt like it was no longer safe.
They were being bullied.
What happened then?
They were being bullied,
exactly,
outright bullied. And some people were unalived over the Brexit vote because English people did not want Eastern Europeans in the country. They keep forgetting that. Mm-hmm. Yes, Ems.
Yeah. What happened is when they saw a reduction of that, and obviously a good portion of them returning back to their country, this created a skill shortage, which meant that the UK had to get its workforce from somewhere else, predominantly the Commonwealth countries. Now, Fox, what is the difference between Commonwealth countries and Eastern European from a surface-based level?
Yeah, not much now, really. Actually.
Skin color, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when people say that, oh, there's too many black and brown people in the country, you literally did it to yourself by advocating for Brexit.
Yeah.
That's what I don't understand.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm going to drop off now.
Story because people are asking about it in the chat. They're not aware that there was a guy who was actually unalived. Yeah, so here we go. 2016. There was a Polish guy. He was unalived. His name was, I'm so sorry, I can't pronounce his name. Let me just flip the camera a minute and I can show you guys the story. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. I don't know what the hell. Hold on. Flip camera. Yes, here we go. So this is exactly what happened. Let me clean the camera a minute, sorry. A little bit murky. So this is a Polish guy, okay, that was unalived over Brexit, okay, and it was exposing the reality of the post-referendum racism. Okay, he died after an attack in Harlow. The government must not allow xenophobes to set the tone in the Brexit vote. Please do go and look at this story. There's a video as well talking to a woman who knew the guy. And basically it was, of course, classed as an H crime. And there were people that came to pay tribute to him because he was a very, very quiet guy, nice guy. And he was, of course, part of the Polish community. But after Brexit, the discrimination escalated in such a crazy way. I don't think I still have the video pinned on my page. I should actually keep that video pinned on my page about, maybe let me go and do it now. So I put on my page about how the Eastern Europeans, of course, were heavily discriminated against during Brexit. And like I say, people are very forgetful in their mind. And this is why I always say it was not, and it's not just a white, black, brown thing. It is English. And you guys know why my profile is as it is, why my platform is as it is. It's about English mindset and what lives there. It is the dislike of every single other ethnic group in the UK. So boiling things down to just black and white and brown is very simple. You need to understand a little bit more about what happens in the country. So I'm going to print that video again on my page so you can look at every single part of or piece of discrimination that actually happened during the Brexit vote. So we're going to now go to Trishy Wishy, please. Trishy, how are you?
Hi, good morning.
Hello there. Hi.
I'm very interesting conversation I came across while scrolling. And I just wanted to add my 2 cents. I'm from the Caribbean. And I'm well aware of colonialism, slavery, Indian indentureship. I'm well aware of my history. I am well aware of the part that the British played in that. Leaving the Caribbean, having experienced life on an island, a very high quality of life, fresh food, good food, nice people, diversity in its true sense, multiculturalism of people living together in peace and tolerant of each other despite the color of their skin, the texture of their hair, the features on their face, their religion, whether they were Muslim, Hindu, Christian, whatever, because they are all in my family. And just living alongside each other. I grew up with that experience. So having left the Caribbean with all of my qualifications, my bachelor's degree, my master's degree, my professional certification, my years of experience in education, moving to the UK. And I can tell you something, what I saw, it was not only shocking, but appalling.
Yep.
The very poor quality of life, the high levels of poverty, which I've never seen in my island. And we are considered third world. I thought I was coming to a first world country. And then when I started teaching in the UK, particularly in London, different parts of London, Hounslow, Cheam, Sutton, all of these places, and experiencing racism to that level for the first time in my life, I couldn't identify what it was at first until somebody sat me down and said to me, it's because you sound like this. It's because you look like this. And further, it's because you are more qualified than they are.
Yeah.
I was hired as a senior teacher. I taught school. I also supervised trainee teachers as well. I was paid quite well. But the levels of racism that I experienced in the schools, amongst the staff, administration, and that was handed down from administration down through the teachers to the students. Yes. I could not believe it. And I'll give you an example. I was headhunted to teach in a school in Norwood. I'm not going to name the school. I wish I could. But that school headhunted me. They had a very high population of African and Caribbean children. And that year when I came in November. From January to then, the particular class I was assigned to, they had 12 different teachers. Nobody stayed. They left, right? And they were considered the worst class or classes in the school. So because I had a Caribbean background, they brought me in to teach. And within the first week, they attempted to offer me a permanent position, because of how I was able to reach them so quickly, how I was able to have them perform so quickly. And nobody understood and I have a passion for young people. I have a passion for children because they are the future of any nation. And they need to have a good foundation set, especially by people who look like them, people who have the same type of background as them, people who can understand their experiences and validate it. Yes. And that's not happening in the UK. Now, one day I missed a number of the young men in my class. They were all black boys. And I asked the children, I said, where are the boys? Why so many people? And they started whispering. I said, what's going on? Talk to me. He said, Miss, you promised not to tell. I said, what is it? They said, well, they are all in seclusion. Why are they in seclusion? Miss, because of their hair. I said, I don't understand. Miss, because of their afro. I still don't understand. They were taken out of class from 8 o'clock in the morning when they entered the school, and they stayed there until 4 p.m. every day in a room by themselves with no teacher, with no work. And they were only taken out of that class because they had an afro, the natural hair that was growing out of their own head. And there were other students that I saw with straight hair, pale skin, and none of them were taken out of their classes. I was then given instructions by the head teacher and the principal of the school that this is what I should do, and I absolutely refused to do it because Every single human being is equal. This is how I grew up. And especially when it comes to people's children, you have to treat them fairly because these children will grow.
I'm just going to interrupt. Do you remember the year that you came to the UK?
2015. 2015. Yeah,
only,
the last year they paid off reparations to slave owners from my taxes.
Okay, guys, so this is 2015. Trishy Wishy is talking about from what's happened in the last 11 years. My mother, I can't remember the year she came to the UK, but it was probably in the 1960s. Same story.
Nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed at all. Because literally when you were talking, I was thinking, is she talking about back in like Windrush days when the first people came from the Caribbeans came? It's same stuff happening still. I've talked on this platform about how they didn't like the fact that my mother's from Grenada. My mother came with her brothers and sisters. There's 5 of them. Didn't like the fact that they had French accents. They were already colonized by the French. They made them speak English, like forced them to have that accent, which then became my English accent, as strong as it is. The things about the hair as well, same story, even down to the names. We don't like the fact that your names sound too exotic. We're going to change or use some of your middle names because, again, the names that came through colonization sounded more royal, sounded like they were more going to be accepted by the British Empire. So I didn't know for years that I was calling my aunties and uncles by their middle names and not even their first names. I didn't even know this until a few years ago. And a lot of us talk about how we have English first names because we needed to, and Em's brought this up earlier about job opportunities. When you have a more English sounding name, it's because you feel like, or your parents feel like, or society will make you feel more accepted into this culture.
Correct.
These guys, these people don't understand what colonization literally does, how it strips you of your identity, how it strips you of your culture. You don't know who the hell you are. And even as me, as a person who is 42 years old, I've only just started unpacking my own trauma that has happened generationally, because even when I grew up in this life, I have to say I've not experienced that much directly. It's all been indirectly and things that have happened to me beforehand, right? Beforehand, because the family I grew up in, like I say in this story, on this platform, is that my parents never taught me about racism. They never taught me about discrimination. They were all like, just get your shit done. Just work, focus on your studies, do what you want to do in life, be successful and be as strong as you can as a person. That was the lessons that I was taught. And I'm so grateful that that was a lesson. But at the same time, I had to ignore some of the other microaggressive. And also I did have outright racism done to me when I was 5 years old. I've told this story before, called the P word and told to go back to where I come from. And certain things have happened still after then, right? But because I've had to ignore it, because of my mindset and because of my parents just being like, that doesn't exist, just make your money, do what you got to do in life, and therefore you will make better progress, right? So I'm glad, but at the same time, I'm not glad because I wish I had more tools earlier to stand up and fight a little bit more, because I would have been an even stronger person, right? Because the strength that I have now, it's only come out in the last few years. So there's benefits and there's things to the detriment when it comes to tackling racism and the discrimination that is literally felt from a young age. Like Trishy Wishy has said, from children's age, this happens from a child's age up until adult age. Yeah, thank you, Trishy. I'm just going to bring
I just want to say one more thing. It's a good thing that you raised that point, because when I came to the UK and I saw the condition of Black people in the UK, they looked oppressed. They looked dispossessed. They did not know themselves. And this is something I have never seen in the Caribbean. We know who we are. I remember getting a job. I was a regional project manager in London, right? And I got that job because they looked at my last name, which was Hindu. I am mixed. It was a Hindu last name. And that's why I got it. When I got into the job, they started asking me, oh, so where did you get this name from? Oh, your other name is German, but this is Hindu. They could not understand. Why? Because I am a product of colonialism. My German name comes from the German slave master that owned my ancestors. My Hindu name comes from the East Indian indentured laborers who were brought in to work on the sugarcane fields after emancipation. So they've never seen somebody like me. And on top of that, having the education and then facing the type of systemic discrimination within the workplace of being told, maybe you shouldn't do your job so well. Maybe it doesn't have to be that good. So that actually performing with high levels of competence is not something that is welcomed in the UK. So you have a lot of people being promoted, people with a skin color that does not look like mine, being promoted to levels beyond their levels of competence. They can't do the job. And this is why the UK is in a mess. Because what I am seeing is colonialism within the UK. It's now eating itself.
Yes.
Because the Caribbean nations have stepped out. We have taken our independence. We are now republic. We know who we are. But when I go to Britain, they realize, okay, we can't do this to them anymore because they're too educated. They know who they are. Now let us turn it in on our own people. Yeah. So now we have all of this in the media about migrants, this and migrants that. Absolutely. It's a tool, this whole colonialism thing. It's a tool being used to control the population. It's the same divide and rule tactics they used in the Caribbean during colonialism and slavery, and they are now using it within their own nation, and it's only to the benefit of few. So whilst the others, the people who are poor, dispossessed, uneducated, continue to fight themselves because of the color of their skin, their particular features, who's white, who's black, who's brown, absolutely ridiculous. And it's been turned in on itself. So everybody is fighting, and they're holding on with this level of pride to this system that is destroying them and has destroyed so many generations in their family and has not made them any better in life. I was teaching a class in history in the UK in a school in Wandsworth, and the teacher asked me to step in and do it for her. She said, when I teach slavery and emancipation, it's just a bit boring. I said, excuse me? It's boring. When I took the class, I showed them a 3-minute clip from the Kunta Kinte 2016 series. The children were on the ground. They sat on the carpet and they were crying. Miss, could you please take it off? Miss, stop. As why? I said, this clip is only 3 minutes. My ancestors faced this for 400 years. Jesus. You can't look at 3 minutes of it. They could not cope with it. They could not deal with it. But yet, within the UK today, we continue to face this type of thing. I had to involve the police because I was discriminated at the job. People were making videos and posting on YouTube of me, mocking my accent, mocking my hair. They were cautioned by the police. They cautioned again by the police, and they still continue to do it. And do you know what the school did where I was working? They didn't like that I reported it. I didn't even know it was a hate crime then, but I had to report it, and I did. And they said to me, Miss, has it stopped because we've spoken to the individual? I said, no, it hasn't. Here's some new videos. The police was appalled. They said, okay, we're going to go to their home, read them the Riot Act, and if they do it again, we're going to bring them before a judge. The school got that information. I had been replacing a teacher whose sister was dying of cancer, and she didn't know how long she had to live, and it was the last member of her family alive other than her own daughter, and she wanted to spend that last time with her sister. And I remember after that report was made, I came into the job. These people were paying me very, very well. And I heard the name of the teacher. The children were calling the name of the teacher who I was replacing. I said, but this lady isn't due to return for some time. And when I saw her, she hugged me, a nice British lady, a white lady. She said, Miss, you did an absolute excellent job. She said, I looked at the books of oh my God, I didn't think they would get somebody who could handle it so quickly. And she was very happy. She hugged me. When the children left, she closed the door and she sat down and she broke down crying. I said, Miss, what's wrong? She said, I don't know why they made me come back to work. I wasn't ready. I buried my sister yesterday. And why did they make her come back? Because if she came back, they could end my contract. Yeah. You see, they couldn't fire me because I reported discrimination.
And also,
do you understand?
As well, you would have been teaching the kids too well too
Yes,
well.
yes.
Because we
Because they were
know,
sneaking into my class.
yeah, we know.
They were not in, but they were sneaking in
Yeah,
to sit in my classroom.
Yeah, so I mean, I was born and raised in Britain, so being a part of the education system, this is something I've definitely spoke about before, is that they teach us to such a low level of education.
It's low.
It's
low.
It's so low.
It's
the country that I've moved to, I talk a lot to Nigerians, I talk a lot to Congolese, to Rwandan people, and them talking about their education level, and I'm like, you're going to the UK for what? What do you think that you're going to get more qualified? All it is a piece of paper to say that you're European educated. That's literally even the same with Pakistanis, Indians, same thing. Education level in the UK is to keep you in the system of oppression.
Correct.
They want to make sure
Yes.
that capitalism runs, right? They need shopkeepers, they need
Correct.
post office workers. This is no insult to you guys that have these jobs. This is literally because they don't want you to go higher. They don't want you to excel more.
Correct.
So that's why, like I say, we don't have the DNA that ties us to these oppressive systems. That's why we can get out.
Correct.
And we can get higher paid jobs. We can actually do more qualifications. We're getting extra. We're going to, secondary education, university education, then as adults getting more qualifications. We're literally doing that because we have the capacity to do so. It is very much a cultural problem. That's why for English people, you have to understand your history, your culture, and what you can do to get out of that box, because the box they put you in is the box that you're going to stay in. And they are, as I say, the 1% are winning everything that they're doing to you. They're playing a very good game with you, and you're being very good little slaves, very good little puppets, very good little pets, and very good little bitches for the 1%. You're doing really, really well. The
100%
white working class people is you. Trishi, you are absolutely fantastic to listen to. Do you do TikTok lives yourself? Do you have any books?
No. I don't do any lives at all. I don't even post my photo. I do have the experience. I taught in the Caribbean 17 years. I've done regional research for Caribbean schools that has been used by governments in the Caribbean that has saved them millions of dollars over many years. I have also taught in the UK as well, and I can compare the systems, and I can tell you the education system in the UK is poor.
It's terrible. It's diabolical. Thank you. Tricia, you need to be on TikTok more. You need to have your own lives. We need to come to your spaces. Anyone who comes up here that literally says, really incredible things, I always will encourage you. Black Mimi, I'm still waiting for you to have your own. Black Mimi, I'm going to call you out again publicly. We're all waiting for Black Mimi to have her own page and to have her own TikTok lives. We're waiting. Trishy, you're also one of these people. Please do lend your voice more to these conversations, because you were absolutely fantastic to speak to, because you spoke truth and you talked about your experiences. And like I said, nothing has changed for so many years. So thank you so much, Mimi.
Thank you.
JT, I didn't see whether you replied to my message. JT, do you want to add something more, JT? And then we'll pop down to Samantha after. JT, are you still there? JT, on the panel, JT801. Are you there? Oh, you've just gone on Teacup. Okay, we'll come back to you then. Oh, you're there. Hello, JT. Yes.
Hello.
Obviously, we've had a lot of conversation since...
Sorry, I was just on the phone.
That's okay. Obviously, we've said a lot of stuff up here. And as I said, you don't need to respond to anything if you don't want to. I hope you don't feel like we're trying to attack you or call you out for anything like that. It's just a case of if you've managed to learn anything of what we're talking about. Is there anything that you noticed or recognised?
I couldn't hear much because, like I said, I was on the phone. Is there anything you want me to respond to specifically?
No, not just generally. But yeah, if you're sticking around for the conversation, please do just listen. And if there is anything that you want to ask questions about, or anything that you actually are struggling to understand, then just let me know, okay? So you're welcome here. Thank you, JT. Right, we're going to go to Samantha. Samantha.
Hello.
Hello, how are you? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Lovely. So what would you like to add to the conversation today? The topic generally is why are the white working class such victims? We've talked a lot about history. We talk about socioeconomics. We talk about what's happened currently in terms of politics. There's lots of things to talk about around the white working class. So what would you like to add to the conversation, please?
So I am, unfortunately, or for whichever way you look at it, a white working class person. I do feel like we're victims, but not as a white working class. I feel like anybody in the working class system are victims, but we're not victims to race, we're not victims to, you know, people coming over, foreign people coming to work. I believe we're victims to what I call the sponging people of the UK. The people who don't want to work, like you said, when you was in the job centre and people were picking and choosing the jobs they wanted to do. I think they're the people that we're victims to, not just as white, but as...
Do you think, though, I mean, that is really such a small percentage. I don't know if you saw the statistic in the chat. It's literally like 0.00002% of people. They're basically anybody, right? Do you not feel like actually you should be thinking a little bit higher about the people above who actually are the biggest benefit scroungers in the country?
Oh, absolutely. Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, there's such a divide in classes at the minute. And I have been on the system. I have been on universal credits, but I left a domestic abuse relationship and I was a single mum. So, but I was still working. The problem was that I could only work 16 hours a week to claim help. If I went over that 16 hours, which was offered to me, I then wouldn't get the same amount in wages as what I would help. So that's where I think the system's totally messed up. Yeah. If I'm working more hours to support myself and my child, then why am I not being... we're basically being punished for that rather than being credited for that.
Sorry about that. Sorry, when my dog is barking, I have to get her because otherwise she causes problems with the neighbours. I heard some parts that you said, Samantha. We talked a little bit about this earlier, about the system obviously not working as well as it should be. And 1 minute, she's still so young. Yeah, the system obviously not working as well as it should be. And I brought up the example about my ex's sister, who found it more beneficial actually to stay on UC than go into work. Because as a single mother with 2 children, it was not possible really for her to find a job that was suitable unless she could be a school assistant, which a lot of single mothers end up being, right? They end up being school assistants because it works around the children's schooling hours. And this is the problem, because the way that the universal credit, since the DWP took over, all they have done is focused on that small minority of people that literally do benefit fraud. It is such a low percentage. And at the same time, I feel like the UK culture has lost a lot of empathy towards why the benefit system was set up in the first place, which was after the Second World War. People were, of course, like had limbs lost and they became disabled after all of the tragedy. The millions of lives lost after the Second World War, they needed to make sure that people were looked after. And then that's when they asked people from my family, from the Caribbean and from the Commonwealth to come to the UK to help. Like, this is the thing that's frustrating as well as part of this conversation, is that they're trying to now, of course, gaslight black and brown people like it was our choice to come and leave our islands. Like what Trishy Rishi was saying, where we come from is completely different. Where everybody comes from is completely different. But as part of the Commonwealth, there was the government and there was the royal family saying, hey, can you come to our country as British subjects? We need your help to rebuild the country after the Second World War. Because people forget that London was bombed. Like, why do people forget that? And people forget that millions of white people in Europe were literally dragged to their deaths. They forget that. And that's why the benefit system came around. So you always have to go back a little bit to be able to go forward to understand where or why the country is as it is today. I think what needs to happen in the UK for the white working class, Samantha, is there needs to be more incentives, like how to actually build businesses for yourself, because historically a lot of English people have their trades as their surnames, and I think people forget this. As an example I always bring up, if your surname is Butcher or Baker or something like that, that sounds like a trade. That was literally your family trade. That's how you were making money. But because capitalism started taking over and taxes started raising so high, people couldn't afford to actually work like that anymore. So I think there needs to be some kind of incentives to help people back into different kind of skilled jobs as well. I think that would give people more autonomy, that would give people like maybe some sort of pride or some kind of feeling good to achieve something again, you know, because that's what happens when a culture is so downtrodden. You just kind of end up thinking, well, what's the point anymore? What's the point? And then it becomes generational, right? So then if you have a child from a family as such, then it just ends up being like, well, my parents didn't work and my grandparents didn't work, but again, because of what happened historically. And then that becomes normal, which is not normal. Like I brought up earlier, this is the 5th richest country in the world. We should be doing so much better than what it is. Yes. And I totally agree with what Dunk said earlier, is I do work in the education system, and like you said yourself, it's very, very minimal what we teach, and I do find that what I teach is very different. We have a lady in one of our other rooms who's from the Philippines, and she teaches very, very differently to how I do, and I learn from her because she's got, like, we've also got a lady from, I think she Caribbean or South Africa. I'm really sorry, I'm not too sure. I want to say Caribbean. And when it comes to Black History Month, she was on it. She was amazing. And I wanted to learn from her to teach my children the better ways of, and, you know, the history of what I don't know, because I come from a more privileged background. And I'm not one to ever say that the white privilege thing isn't a thing. It definitely is. And then on the other hand, I kind of go, well, I've gone for jobs. I remember I went for a job. Well, I tried to go through the Prince's Trust to set up a animal rehabilitation centre, but have people with disabilities and stuff come in and volunteer and learn and all the rest of it. And I got told, because I'm not from an ethnic background or I don't have a police record, I wouldn't get the funding as much as what somebody else would, that if they had that. And I was just like, it kind of throws me as, okay, so what do I do then? And I didn't set up that business, obviously. If someone tells you that, though, you have to think about who's actually saying that to you, because that's not a government directive. That is somebody that feels personally slighted, right? And this is what we have to really understand and combat, because it's not a government directive to say we need to do more things for Black and brown people. DEI does not exist in the UK at all. It really doesn't. What happens is there are certain schemes that actually have understood that there are disenfranchised people, and also this happens for the disabled community as well, by the way, which is across everybody. So wherever disabled people can't get opportunities, they will also be quote unquote prioritized. I'm only using those terms so it's understood by everybody. They'll be like, we've recognized this group of people don't really have the same opportunities. We understand that there's some discrimination towards that because this is ableism. Let's make a project specifically for disabled people. There are no projects in the UK that are specifically for Black people. Like, there are projects that will help them, but it's not a case of this is a how do I explain this so in a way that makes sense? There's not an industry that is going to be specifically for one group of people. All industries should be for everybody, right? But what happens is, unfortunately, for white people, and because the way that the government is pushing narratives these days, is they will say, and as workers, if I'm a white worker, I would say to you, well, you can't apply for that job because you're white, and that's not the case at all. So I want you to also understand that the person saying that doesn't represent actually what the government is trying to do or what other projects are actually trying to do. They're trying to just make sure that there is more opportunities across the board. Because like I said, and like Em said earlier, CV discrimination does exist and racism does exist in the country, unfortunately.
100%.
You know,
and I also think, like, when I've been for jobs before in the past as well, I went for a job at a fish factory many years ago, and they said to me, this was one of the people, I'm not saying it was like, it was somebody in the fish factory said, you won't get the job because they'll take on a Polish person or a Russian person because they will work more hours than you. And I was like, right, okay. And I think that kind of instills the rate that it kind of it's like they want to put the racism into white British people.
Yes.
They want us to feel that way. And then I leave going, well, they're going to give that job to a Lithuanian or a Russian or a Polish person because they're going to work more hours. I would work just as hard, but it then leaves me with that racist thought. And I think that's where we're being crushed, because we're being told by other white people to feel that way.
Correct.
And I really, it really irritates me. And I have been pushed into racist thoughts. I'm not going to deny that. Not to a point where I would ever be. I would never say anything to anybody. I would never make anybody feel less than myself. But there has been times where I've sat there and gone, for God's sake, why do they get that and we don't? Why are they doing this and we can't? Or, you know, my dad's with a lady from the Philippines, and she works 1,000 times harder than what I have seen some of my white friends work. And I think when people sit there and go, they shouldn't be in our country, we need to kick all anybody who's not British, they need to leave the country. I'm like, well, wait a minute, then who's going to be our doctors? And it's not even just the doctors, it's who's going to be our doctors, who's going to be the hospital cleaners, who's going to be the cafe workers, who's going to be the postman. Because, like you said, of a different race, and yourself said, you know, you went into that job centre and you took any job you could get. Not all white people do that. And I've got one cousin who is now ready to give birth to baby number 6. And I go to her, are you mad? 6 babies, that's crazy. And she's like, well, I don't have to work and I get money for every single one of them. And I'm like, oh my God. And me, as you know, I'm 40 years old. I'm just going through the process of being diagnosed with dementia.
Oh,
but
I'm sorry.
It's okay. But for me, it's like, if I do get diagnosed, I know I will no longer be able to work with children. Because obviously the safety aspect of it. So then I'm like, I'm then going to lose my job. And I was looking into it the other week of what I would get, and it's something like £40, £50 a week. Yeah. And I'm like, but she's living on thousands upon thousands for having children. And I'm like, how does this system work? Why are we working this way? We should be...
That's where you understand, Sam, that is done on purpose. You will have it in your own family, that you look at your own family member, instead of, like I said, looking at the 1% who are the biggest benefit claimants. They're doing it to manipulate you specifically, Sam. They've got all the information about every single one of us. They know exactly how much money they'll be giving your family member and how much they're giving you. They want you to get upset about that. They want you to stay in that same system. And like you said, you had some thoughts that were creeping in, because that's what the government and media do. You are literally their prime target, unfortunately. You are that person that can fall into that manipulation and fall into that mindset, and then end up not liking someone like me for understanding what you're going through and understanding your situation. And everybody else here can understand what's happening in the country, but you are literally the target that they will go for.
As well, I think on the flip side of that, people of different races, like I've heard some black people say, the whites. And I sit there and I say, I would never put a person into all black people or all African people or all foreign people do this.
But Sam, I think on that front, and the reason why is because of what white people have done historically. It's nothing to do with what's happening, it's not a throwaway comment that people make. Like, it's not. If you actually go and look at the history of white people and whiteness as a construct, it has harmed every continent. British, for example, I don't know if you know, the British have invaded 171 countries. And white people created race and racism. And so when the first instances for a lot of us around the world experienced so much horrific atrocities and hostility, it was from white people. It was from white people, you know. So and this is how the problem is. It's not just about physical violence, it's about mental violence, it's about spiritual violence. In so many different ways, white people have put themselves, we never did it. White people chose to call themselves white to start with. Race did not exist until white people decided to say, okay, we're white now, and this is what whiteness is going to stand for. It's going to stand for supremacy. It's going to stand for raping. It's going to stand for theft. It's going to stand for all of these things. That's what they decided. They decided that, right? The white people that came before everybody, before you guys, they decided that. And so we've had to go along with what they stood for. So when we say white people, like I said, it's the systems that have come out of that oppression, right? And it's up to white people in that group of white people to separate themselves from the story. If you weren't there specifically, generally most of you weren't there for that part anyway, but it's also up to you to become anti-racist and anti-ableist and anti-homophobic, homophobia, all of those things that makes you understand, okay, I understand that humanity is very diverse. And it is very beautiful and it is wonderful. But I also understand that people are very, very discriminated against, especially in Western Europe. That's where all that stuff comes from. So hopefully some of that makes sense, that you can pick up on some parts of why.
Definitely. Just don't stick me in that box.
Well, you have to, Sam, you have to prove yourself to be different, unfortunately. Like in 2026, these are the conversations that we're having. So we've got white people in the chat. We have white people on the panel that when we say white people, they don't get offended or upset because they know it is about whiteness as a construct. It is about white history. And like I say, the things that have done to the world, So it really is up to you to learn more and grow more. So it's good that you were here, and hopefully some of the corrections that I've made to you kind of get where I'm coming from or where the global majority are coming from, because I feel like you've got understanding, but there are some things, like I say, because you're manipulated by the British government and by whiteness, where it's like, okay, if you can flip your mindset a little bit and keep going higher, then you will literally find yourself with much more of a broader understanding on the world, and it is how it is. But thank you, Sam. I appreciate you being here. Thank you. We're going to move to thank you. We're going to go to Tajamal. Am I saying Tajamal on the top left?
Tajamal.
Have you spoken before?
Yeah, I'm here before.
A long time
I'm
ago,
from
wasn't
Pakistan.
it?
Long time.
I remember you. You were fantastic last time when you came up. It's been so long. So this is the topic today. What would you like to add to the conversation? And this is going to be the last panel, guys, because we're going to wrap up kind of soon. So no more guests, please. This is the last panel and we'll go through to everybody. Thank you. Continue.
Yeah. I'm from Pakistan, and colonialism has never ended for us. Not for African, not for Indians. The basic thing is our language. They kill our language in schools. They fine us, they punish us if we speak our language. I have studied 300 books in English. If I were allowed to study in my language, I would have studied 2,000 books. I would have been better human being. I did MPhil in government and public policy, and I am doing delivery in UK. I have only 1 year visa left, and I don't know where I will go after that, because I have no future in Pakistan, no future in UK. Most of Pakistanis are facing this dilemma. And we are 250 million people, and we are hopeless nation. We just got rid of British and went into the American slavery. America still they toppled our most popular leader. They control our military. They are pitting our people against each other. They are trying to tear us apart. Colonialism, white people don't understand. We are still under the colonialism. Yeah. And the saddest part is that our people are mentally slave. They don't I have 50,000 followers on my TikTok account. But I think first step is of freedom is speaking your language. I don't make videos in English because I know they will never understand, because they will never trust me. They will never trust skin of my color. They will never trust my religion. So I am trying to tell my people, if you just break this colonial English education system in Pakistan. Our best doctors are in UK, in America, in Australia, in Canada. Our nurses, our whole brain drain is in UK. Until we don't stop this brain drain, our countries will never develop. And they will never trust us. Other day they said Pakistanis are coming like rats. They consider us rat. I don't blame common, poor, working class white people. But they are elites. They were billionaires. No, they are becoming trillionaires. Elon Musk is having 100,000 billion, and they are controlling. Like I pay like 200 insurance. Then we are paying to companies, and we are barely making minimum, and they blame us. We are hardworking people. Some of us take benefits. Like 90% of us do hard work, two jobs, and we are not making it.
I made these
and
points,
they say we are enemies of white people. We are not.
Earlier, right? So you're talking about, of course, the British colonial rule in India, which of course divided India into several different countries, including Pakistan. And people don't seem to understand what that looked like. They don't understand the brutality of that and what it looked like. That when you've said that you don't feel at home in the UK, you don't even feel at home in your home country, and you've got somebody in the chat section who doesn't understand what privilege they have, that they cannot feel comfortable in their own home or the country that they've had to move to. Nathan in the chat, you're a disgusting person. You're an absolutely disgusting person for saying that, and you're still in the UK. You didn't hear the conversation. You literally didn't hear a single thing. And we've also got JT, if he's still here. I dropped him from the panel. You guys are still here. White people are still here, still listening to the conversation, making disgusting comments towards people here because you don't have the, like, what did I say previously to Samantha, who is actually here on the panel trying to listen and trying to understand, right? I said that there is an unempathetic nature that lives within English people, and you've got people demonstrating that right now, exactly like we're saying. I remember this, you saying this last time, Tajamal, you were saying about speaking in your native language to empower people again, and you actually encouraged me more to actually start speaking more Yoruba and to learn it, because like I've said to people is that I'm heavily colonized. You can hear it in my voice. You can hear it in my voice. I'm heavily colonized. And I have lost so much of my own culture and so much of my own identity through that. And people don't understand what a privilege it is to know who you are and where you come from. And the fact that you literally will find it appropriate to take the piss out of other people who have no other options at this point. You're nasty people, like really, really not. They're nasty people. So thank you, Tajamo. I'm going to move to
I want to add one thing. Like in Nigeria, half Nigeria is Muslim, half Nigeria is Christian. And these people were living together like brothers for centuries. You know, there were fights between kings, like in India. We have fights between kings, but not between people. And this colonialism, which started fights between people and religions, and then they blame us, and our people lost hope. Our people are hopeless. They say we can never come out of colonialism. They say we are corrupt internally, inherently, inbuilt. And white people are honest. Every good thing is in white people, or every bad thing is in Pakistani, Indian, Nigerian, and Africans. This is colonialism, and we are trying to get rid of this. Because, but even in Pakistani who are in UK, they are hopeless. Who taught us this hopelessness? This education system.
English people did. This is what colonization does. It takes you away from everything and everything that you are. Diamond, there is a queue here. If you want to add something, Diamond, please do use the chat section to make your points and comments. And if there's anything important, then I will go. Like you see that everybody gets to go in order. And like I said, this is the last rotation of panels. So you will be the last person, Diamond. Okay, Sean, it's now your turn. Sean, what would you like to add to the conversation?
Yay, my turn.
Yes, it's your turn.
First off, I just want to say that it's actually nice to see an intelligent conversation about this. You see a lot on here, and a lot of it is nonsense, but you're clearly more educated than me on it. I did want to bring up on Trish's point that she was making about working and her surname, and she mentioned that because of her surname, basically she was seen negative. No, she got the job because of her surname. But once they realised where she was actually from, that then changed. And what my question was, is obviously she would have been interviewed for that role. It was quite a higher role, and she still got that position. So I'm a bit confused where the discussion around where she's from stopped her getting that job in the first place?
Trishy can answer, but I'll also give you my experience in this too, is I have a very ethnic sounding surname, but I have this accent privilege, okay? And I'll give you also another story about my auntie. So I always knew that I had to go over the top in terms of getting a job. Like after every single interview, I would always follow up and say, I'm a good fit for the reason. So my interview would never end in that room. I knew I had to do more. Like we always have to do more. My auntie had the opposite experience. She had this same accent. When she turned up, found out it was a black woman, they said, we don't have the position anymore. So discrimination happens in many different ways, Sean. Trishy Wishy, do you want to carry on with your story in regards to what Sean has?
I got the position because I am exceptionally competent at what I do. That's why I got the position. And they were at a critical stage in their business where they needed somebody that was competent. So not only was I able to get the job, when I started doing the job and they started getting more contracts and extension of contracts and profits, it was good for them to keep me there. But you see that little thing, that racism thing that kept ninging in their head, they had to ask, well, oh my God, what that last name of yours? It sounds almost Albanian. Where did it come from? It's none of your business. However, the problem was when it came to promotion, they gave the less competent ones over me, while they tripled my workload with the same pay for years. Do you understand? So, and this, I only got this job after applying to more than 10,000 jobs with no positive response. So this was one job out of 10,000 plus applications in the UK with my master's degree, my bachelor's degree, my professional certifications in management, and my experience. I'm also a published author. I am also a researcher. And with even all of that, 10,000 applications, we're sorry we chose someone else at this time.
This is such a common thing. You can see in the chat section as well, Sean, happens it does. It literally happens all the time. So hopefully that answers your questions. Are there any more comments that you wanted to make, Sean, or any responses to that?
Yeah, just on, so we'll leave it at that. I just wanted to clarify that point. Obviously, as well as I'm quite highly qualified and have high-end jobs and I've done really well out of my career, I also experience a lot of rejections as well. I mean, there isn't enough jobs in the UK for the amount of people. So that is something everyone faces. But obviously, I'm not in the same position as Trishy, so I can't really comment on my experiences because I wouldn't have faced the same issues that she's saying she faces. There's a lot of slandering of people on universal credit. And I like what you said. The biggest benefit cheats in this country are the higher ups. They let us do all the work and they reap the benefits of it. And they want us divided because at the end of the day, if we're divided, we're concentrating on each other and not them. Just to explain universal credit, two people from a household, a couple, can both be working full-time jobs and still get universal credit. The reason for that is because the salaries are so low and people still can't afford to live a good life. So the reason universal credit is there is to make us just about be able to get by.
Yes.
And then say they're helping us. Yeah. Well, in reality, two people working full-time jobs should not have to be on universal credit. We should have enough to be comfortable. We should have enough to be able to treat our kids and have a happy life. They don't want us above that line because if we get above that line, that's where we become powerful. This is why it's not encouraged to create businesses in the UK for the average person, because as soon as we do that, then we're the powerful ones. And that's exactly what they're trying to stop.
Correct. And that's it. Like, this is what's so important, guys, is to just keep having more and more conversations so you can come out of that fixed mindset. I did see that. I think I saw that JT did something. I didn't see exactly what happened, but we did have somebody up here earlier who was here from the beginning, JT, who is literally not understanding anything to do with the benefit system, not understanding to do with UC, not understanding history, not understanding hierarchy, not understanding the 1% that's keeping everybody oppressed. Me, you, Sean, Trishy, Africa, like everybody who's in Britain, every single one of us is a tried to be made a puppet for the 1%, and it's up to us to mentally break out of that so we can actually do things differently for ourselves. So for me personally, I don't feel like I live in a British system at all. I mean, it helps the fact that I've moved country, but I don't feel tied to anything that they tell me at all, nothing. And I'm glad that you've got the mindset, Sean, of understanding the games that they're trying to play with us all and the ways that they know that they can manipulate us. Yes, is there something else that you want to add?
Yeah, just to use a really recent example, obviously fuel prices have gone through the roof. Now, everyday people have been thinking...
I don't know what they are in the UK now. What are they?
So they've just dropped down to 185 for diesel and 160 for petrol.
Lord.
Obviously, they've blamed the situation in Iran for that. We all knew it was coming. In the UK, the government take 50% of what we actually put into our vehicles. The government could have quite easily dropped that to 40% so that the average everyday person didn't feel the impact. Obviously, they're not going to choose to do that. But when they say they understand the way the public feel about it, what people need to understand is they're driving around with their fuel cards that are paid for by us. And when they go and put fuel in the car, they can fill up their tank. They don't have to worry about it. It's not coming out of their pocket, it's coming out of ours. And meanwhile, we're struggling for a situation that, once again, the governments, and again from the West, have decided that we're going to have a war for no reason at all. And the everyday person is going to feel the impact of that. It's the same through COVID. They boosted prices through COVID and use the same excuses, and they do it every time. And that's why people feel like they are situations that are created just to boost pockets of the rich, and we're going to feel the impact every single time. And people are having enough in this country. However, it's directed the complete wrong direction. It's directed to immigrants, whether they are here legally or not. Obviously, illegal immigrants is a completely different story. But we're made by the media and the government to blame it on situations like that rather than the government that are actually doing it.
Yeah. And even in Spain, I always bring up this example. There are 900,000, almost 1 million illegal Brits in Spain. Also doing crime, by the way, of course. But the government has said, do you know what? We need to try to work with these people. Let's see who we can actually give status to, because a lot of things changed after Brexit in terms of, freedom of movement, of course. And this is about people that have lived in the country a lot longer, or they've been just economic migrants, as British people are, or if they got property, But the thing is, literally just Google British crime in Spain, you'll see a lot of shit that happens. But yeah, there is such a double standard. And the thing about war in Ukraine and oil, etc., we had this conversation on the weekend where this guy was like, yeah, the war in the Ukraine is why everything is so expensive. No. And he was just like, yeah, because we get a lot of flour from there. Also flour. Yeah, he was like, flour's the reason why you've got everything else increasing, your council tax going up, your petrol, literally everything else is flour. So this is the thing. If you start repeating propaganda, you become part of the propaganda machine. Everybody needs to be a lot smarter than they actually are. Thank you so much, Sean. We're going to move to Africa.
Sorry, just one more really quick thing.
Go on then.
Someone called Lapis has put in the comments, the word illegal is dehumanizing.
Yes.
Which, yes, I completely agree. Yeah. I shouldn't have actually used that word. Yeah. Quite frankly, if a bomb was dropping next to my house and I had my kids, I'd try and escape to safety as well. So, yeah, that is a good point. I'll take that.
That's the thing as well. Sometimes it's not current war, it's previous war. This is why they keep bringing up other examples. So we've got an influx of people from Egypt, and it's economic war. It doesn't just look like bees being dropped on the head. It is literally how your government has been manipulated, how you as citizens have been manipulated. In Egypt, people don't even know this. There's next to no water in Egypt. At all. The water supplies in Egypt have literally almost dried up. So it's not looking good for a lot of part of the world, and people need to be more empathetic towards people that struggle, because Britain didn't have anything before it started its war campaign on the rest of the world. 171 countries out of 192 or 93 or 95, depending on what jurisdiction we're talking about here. So thank you so much, Sean. Africa.
Thank you.
Africa, thank you. Africa, how are you today?
Hey.
Hey.
Yeah. The conversation's been interesting to listen to be honest. I hope everything's good on your end.
Yeah.
Also, you live,
good.
also you live in Wolfox. Jeez.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Did you not see me this whole time?
No. Anyway, in regards to the conversation, I think number one, I think as you said, I think in terms of Spain, I think Spain is always important to remember that there's a deep hypocrisy in terms of like the pushback towards like especially that like we have like the conversation about integration, like especially like the hypocrisy is deafening because like people act as if Spain doesn't exist. As if you can't hop onto a plane and go to Spain and see British enclaves where the British people do not integrate. They do not go. Their children do not go to the same schools. They do not go to the same restaurants. They have their own bars. They have their own social clubs. They only speak English. They do not integrate into Spanish culture whatsoever. So it's just like it's fascinating. Like I could drop you in parts of Benidorm or parts of Ibiza, and you would be absolutely fine, and you would never have to learn a word of Spanish. I could drop you in multiple parts of Spain into one of those British enclaves, and you would never have to speak Spanish. You would speak the English that you understand that you speak now would be absolutely fine because they've created entire ecosystems where they do not integrate. It's fascinating to hear English people lecture other people about integration when like British people in Europe are guilty of that. And also, I wanted to say, for me, it's a bit jarring in terms of like, and I understand that like, obviously as a white person, sometimes you may not want to hear white people this, white people that. But like the whole kind of conversation about whiteness and blackness, this is a dynamic and the implications of whiteness and blackness and on a lived reality. These are dynamics that like at every point were imposed on black people. This is not black people just waking up and being obsessed with whiteness or white people and like blaming white people for stuff. It's important. Like in terms of like racial dynamics of this whiteness and blackness thing, that was imposed on like black people during slavery, and then that was imposed again on black people during colonialism, and even now. If you ask the average black person, what's the number one issue in the UK? They're going to tell you the cost of living. They're going to tell you healthcare. They're going to tell you transport. What the average black person is not going to tell you is immigration, which is coded. That's coded as race. The issue with immigration is largely a racialized issue. Like at every point, it's like.
Do you know what's so funny?
It's quite jarring.
I had on my old account, I literally responded to somebody because they said to me, "Wait until all the immigrants come." I'm like, "You're talking to an immigrant." Literally, you're talking to an immigrant, a descendant of immigrants. They get so confused by what immigration looks like, and they say, "Yeah, you just wait. You're going to be affected as well." Me? Me? I'm going to be affected. No, that's you in your mind that's going to be affected. So that's so funny you brought that up.
And this whole thing about like jobs, as you said, there's no systemic DEI movement in the UK. Well, in fact, like especially black people are only overrepresented in 3 like industries. We're overrepresented in healthcare, we're overrepresented in government work, and we are overrepresented in domestic work. Everything else, like we are significantly underrepresented. And as you go up the financial ladder, like we're underrepresented in engineering, we're underrepresented in law, we are underrepresented in teaching, we are underrepresented in everything. Oh, and we're also overrepresented in the military. That's the 4th one that we're overrepresented in. Like this, and when we're talking about like when people have made initiatives for black people, that is often charities and private initiatives funding a job role and saying, hey, we are going to pay for this job role out of pocket, so whatever institution is not paying for it, just so you have black representation there, because we understand that black representation is important. And like people call those kind of things. So when an institution puts up a posting and says, hey, this is like this is for a certain community, not knowing that as a disabled charity that paid for that role, not knowing that it's a black charity that paid for that role, not knowing that it was an Asian charity that paid for that role. Like, I think a lot of people have these kind of bizarre framings of the UK as if people get a whole bunch of stuff that they don't get.
You must have seen this. I'm going to bring it up because Leanne and I talked about this yesterday. I think that 5K video. Have you seen it? They get 5K for this. They get 5K for a shop. Have you seen that video, Africa?
Yeah, I've not seen that. No. People going.
You need to actually. Do you know what? I've got it. I'm pretty sure I got
that,
it. Yes.
Africa. How have you not seen
It's
it?
so
That is
funny.
one of the most funniest videos I've seen this week.
Yeah,
I'll be real.
literally
And
got
it's
it on my
only what
laptop so I
Wednesday.
can show it to you all. That's the thing is I forgot, but you've just reminded
Oh,
me.
is this the one with the lady in the wheelchair?
No, that one's funny,
it's
though.
an old white guy. He's being interviewed, yeah, and he's obviously saying that he voted to reform.
I've got it here. So
I
you
never
can just
know.
watch it.
Go on.
You can just watch it. So hold on, let me just make this full screen. Hold on, how do I make this full screen? I don't understand. Right, okay, let me just turn my camera around. 1 minute. Camera around, flip camera. Have I done it? Yes, okay. So this is the guy. Let me just go back to the beginning. Hold on. Right, hold on.
To open another shop.
Right.
So all the shops that come in, they get £5,000. This is what we got to do. They get £5,000 for coming in.
Right.
And they get £5,000 for a shop. If you say you wanted to buy that, if you just say you come from India and you come over here and you wanted a shop, the government give you £5,000 for a shop. You open the shop, they give you another grand for opening the shop, and you say your family wanted to come over and open another shop, they give them another £5,000 to open another shop.
Right.
So all the shops at the moment, they're being taken by people coming over from abroad. And the refugees.
You see the way that they just
get
believe.
£5,000.
And the thing is, I don't even know where that story's even come from.
Can I just say he does not represent all white people?
We will send all our families over right now. Free £5,000 to everybody. Everybody wants to sign up now for this £5,000. Please, someone send me the link of where we can apply for all of our family members now to get this free £5,000 that the government has for all of us. Where?
If you were giving a free $5,000 to everyone that came here, you got. Do you know what? How many Nigerians? I got a whole bunch of Nigerians that would be happy to come and collect $5,000.
You see that GDP finally going down. That's 4.26 trillion GDP that the UK says it has, even though it's also 2.7 trillion in debt. Right? You see that thing? Oh, hold on. What happened? I had a violation. Do you know what it is? Because I think I showed that video. The good thing is we're almost ending the live anyway. But sometimes what happens is if you show a video on your screen, they think it's low quality. So I just got a restriction. So you guys won't be able to send any gifts or anything like that for at least 10 minutes, which is okay. So yes, Africa, do you want to continue? Because that bit.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say a lot of this is honestly, I think this is something that, because when we talk about victimhood, I think a lot of it is I know people kind of say, oh, a lot of it is poverty, a lot of it is lack of education, but with all due respect, a lot of it is bad mindism. I know, for lack of a better word, it's just a lot of it is bad mindism. A lot of it is wicked heartedness. A lot of it is just wicked heartedness, and a lot of it is just racism. Yeah. And I can tell you that a lot of it is racism, and a lot of it is and it's the most bizarre form of racism. It's not racism that I want to elevate me and my own. It's racism that I am willing to put anything to the side. There is nothing to me that is more important than bashing on the immigrants and bashing on the black and brown people. I will forego the issues of my local government, the issues, the potholes in my street, unemployment, lack of infrastructure. I'm not going to hold to account anybody. I'm just immigration. And you can see that even in places where they've elected reform. With all due respect, there ain't no black and brown people in Clacton. How many black and brown people are in Clacton? I studied near Great Yarmouth. I've been to Great Yarmouth. Ain't no black people in Great Yarmouth. Ain't no brown people. Ain't no Muslims in Great Yarmouth. There's no. Do you know there's whiteness and poverty in Great Yarmouth? Yeah. That is what there is.
Even when you
and
go
it's bizarre.
All of the northern towns. So actually, I did have the map, and I don't think I've got it still on my my computer. But looking actually at where the reform councils are, like we said earlier, you have to look at this historically as to why the north and around Bradford area, actually outside of Bradford area, it is reform councils there, which again were old industrial revolution towns. They have literally become the poorest of the poor. Of course, I think that Jaywick, the poorest town, the poorest county, has a reform county now, councillor now, I think. So it's very, very relative to what has happened historically, economically in the country. And yes, emissary, ex-mining town areas as well. So anywhere that there's no industry and where white working class people have not been able to continue working has turned into reform councils. Yeah.
But I do find it fascinating that like there are a lot of the places where reformers have had a stronghold are places where there's not really like immigrants, there's not really like black and brown people, there's not really Muslims, there's like, and it's almost exclusively just white, like impoverished people. And for me, that's like, that for me, that's like, that just comes from a place of racism, because you're willing to vote in these people who have no plan to meaningfully elevate your standard of life. You are dead straight on like an ideological belief. Whereas, like, you can go around Great Yarmouth for hours and not see a black or brown face.
Yeah,
it's crazy that is the number one issue. That's the issue. You feel like reform, whose number one policy is immigration, but like, how are they going to regenerate Clacton?
They're not. Well, that's like you said, and like we understand, is that their hatred for themselves is stronger than any want to actually move or grow or create anything. They, like I brought up, and like you've probably seen as well yourself, Africa, on the weekends on this app, you'll come across a TikTok live of a bunch of people outside of a pub shouting, "Save our women and children," getting the cars to beep at them. And then at the end of every TikTok live, they say, "See you this time next week." That's all they are doing. That's all they are doing. And again, like the fact that we've had white people come up here from the working class background who are really refusing to go back and understand why they got to where they got to, they really will just look at me and you as being the problem. It is such a sad situation. And I feel, of course, the most sorriest for my people that even Nigerians are catching strays. I mean, what the fuck? We ain't done nothing. Any community or any group of people in the UK that's done nothing, now all of a sudden Nigerians are catching strays. And I know exactly why he's gone for Nigerians, because it's not even punching down, Lapis. We ain't down. So in the US, I think this is true. Africa, you can probably correct me on this. Isn't Nigerians the most one of the richest demographics in the US outside of Africa? I think. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I think outside of it's in terms of when you like control it for Nigerians earn significantly higher than the average, like the American average, yes. especially the second generation when they're born in of Nigerian immigrant parents. Yes. They earn significantly more than the American average.
So they want to try and make sure that it's our story in the UK, that they want to try and keep us down because of this racial hierarchy that the British Empire stored. They're like, hold on a minute, black people, especially the Nigerians, they're actually seeming to get a bit too high up. They're educating themselves now, and they're creating businesses now, and they're having all these exclusive clubs, and you see the cars that they're driving now. We need to keep the Nigerians down in a space. And the funny thing is part of this whole reform thing that they said about us, like seeing black people, especially black Nigerians, and the sense of humor that we have. I saw a video today that made me piss myself. This guy, he's a Nigerian guy, saying, because I don't want to get melted down and put into a pothole, I'm going to pretend to be Jamaican. So there's him learning how to say Bumba Clark. He's literally like watching like a language video. I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen it, Africa? It's so funny.
I'm not seeing it. I feel like I'm behind on like the on all the newest TikTok videos.
There's so many jokes. Like I've even seen this other Nigerian girl like actually pretend to melt herself down or something like that. You know, it's like we got humor about this kind of stuff. Yeah. First of all, I was annoyed, so I will tell this story, and I will tell this story for every white person here. When something happens in the black community, why on earth do you think it's your right to go and send that video to a black person to say, look what happened in your community? Like, why do you do that? That happens a lot of the time. And there's some things that I don't see. There's a lot of things that we don't see. So why would you go out of your way to show this like crappy thing that's happened to us? Why would you come in our inbox saying that stuff? Like it's so strange to me. I don't know why you do it. It's not necessary. Let us actually find out about these things in our own time, and we can talk about these things in our own time if they actually are gonna upset. Because when I got told this, I said, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. It's upsetting to me. But now a few days have gone by and I see people joking about stuff. I can also have the sense of humor about what was said, right? Don't feel like as a white person, you think it's appropriate to bring the news like I just said. And also I've had an experience before where a white person came to me about slavery in their own culture. And I said, okay, why did you feel like you wanted to share this with me? Like, what's the connect? Because we haven't talked about your culture, and anything you could have told me about your culture, you chose slavery. Why is that? And they said, oh, because you were talking about it. But generally, those of you know me here, you know I barely talk about slavery. I talk about it only when somebody brings it up, and I make it the process to actually understand slavery as the entirety through history that goes back to 3,500 BC. So, you know, white people, you need to understand some of your own behavior, actually all of your own behavior, because there's so much that you don't understand and don't see, is that sometimes you act as if you have to connect with us in a way based on some kind of shared discrimination or something like that, even though it's not the same story at all, or you want to have some kind of relatability to what we're experiencing, or you want to be overly empathetic towards what we're experiencing when we're not even talking about that shit. So yeah, thank you, Leanne. Exactly. Shared victimhood. Like it's too much.
Fox, have you heard this one? Oh my gosh, my hair is so difficult to deal with as well.
Please.
No, wait. Africa, I have one better. When they've gone on holiday and they come back and they put their arm next to mine.
Yeah. I'm almost as black as you are now. It's like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, please stop that. Stop that. Like, why do you feel like you need to have something in common with us? Just do what you do and just do it in your space, because we're doing things in our space at all, and we can still find some kind of conversation through that. So I don't know, this stuff is crazy. But thank you, Africa. Right, we've got Leanne, and Leanne is the last person. So sorry, guys, whoever else wanted to come up. There's other people who wanted to come to panel. I did say this was the last panel, the last rotation, and we'll be on again at some other point. I don't know when, maybe tomorrow, I don't know. It's whenever the energy calls me. So Leanne, why are the white working class such victims? Of course, we talked a lot about history, socio-economic statuses. We've talked about current day. We talk about what's happened before. And we've talked, of course, about all of our communities that are also been affected by the same system. So what do you have to add, please, Leanne?
Okay, I believe the white working class are such victims because white people like empathizing with other white people, let's be honest. Oh my gosh, like you're struggling. Oh, you're working so hard. Oh my gosh, you're doing so. The reason why they're such victims is the reason why they're saying make Great Britain great again, because they are victims in their own country, apparently, to the point by 2050 they're going to be wiped out. White people, sadly, not all of you guys, some of you guys are actual allies for real, but you guys just like being victims. It's like you just can't accept the fact of you're not as suppressed as other people. Let's just call it for what it is. It's like when someone says they're doing bad, you want to say that you're doing worse, you know? You can't just accept that you do have privilege. It's okay. Like, you're not going to be slapped up and like beaten up because you've got privilege. It's just a fact. And it's like they just can't accept the concept of their reality. It's like, well, I know I do have privilege because I walk around with it with my entitlement, and I will tell you can't park there. I will tell you you're not allowed to be in this country. But in the same breath, you're all taking over. What is it? I'm confused. Do you want to be an entitled white person?
Yes,
or do you want to be a victim?
They do.
It's just
they want to be both.
They're so confused.
Both.
Do you know what I mean? They want both, and it's like you can't be both because you don't see black people kicking you out, but in the same breath, oh my gosh, we're such oppressed people. Like we're still slaves to the. Huh? If we did that, you guys would call us mad people.
Yeah.
would actually be
do.
called mad.
And they do.
So, honestly, like, white working class, I think to some degree, the white working class, like the ones that actually are in the working class for real, I think they do, in some capacity, empathize with other groups that are discriminated, because they do feel the discrimination on themselves. You know, there are solid white people that are working a couple of jobs, or as someone pointed earlier, they are on the benefit system, but it's not, again, because they're just slouching around doing nothing. Like, they actually deserve to be on the benefit system. So I think because they're experiencing some discrimination to a degree, they can empathize with other communities that are facing a lot more worse discrimination, quote unquote, let's say racism, because they understand the whole, you have a system against you, but they just won't get it enough, because when you go into job centers and whatnot, sadly to say, the people that get it worse are the people that are not white. You go into workplaces, the people that get it the most, they're not really white. You can get a white drug addict walking across Sainsbury's, doing whatever the hell he wants. Oh yeah, he's the local druggie, guys. We know this already. Make it a black or brown person, we gotta call the police, you know. Yes. What are they doing here? Guys, let's watch the CCTV cameras. Let's make the security guards stand at the front and whatnot. Let's have the Townlink radio on standby. So it's like, I think it's like we're allowing white people. Yay! And we're allowing, like, white people to be victims, but we don't really have a choice because, you know, we got it worse. But it's like, white people, you're allowing yourselves to be victims because you believe you are. Like, you guys have convinced yourself so much that you're so much of a victim, to the point where everyone else actually has to feel sorry for you. But if I go along with the rhetoric you guys have been saying for God knows how many years, is it not your country? So this is where I'm lost. Like, it's your country. You guys are all in power. You guys have all the money. You guys have every single system underneath your armpit. But in the same breath, you guys apparently are the worst people in this country. So I'm just trying to connect the dots where, oh yeah, I'm not getting my council house because of the immigrants, but it's the white people that are making the decision. So go talk to your white boss, or you're not getting a promotion at work, but it's the white person that's the CEO, right? So go put a complaint into the CEO. Oh yeah, my kid's getting bullied at school. Okay, but the head teacher's white. Go write an email to the head teacher. Oh yeah, but I can't go out to the pub, but the pubs are run by white people. So go. You're just confused. Like, it's really confusing. Like, you guys march all the time, make this country great again, but is it not called Great Britain? Like, it's been great. Like, you guys wave the flag in our faces 24/7, and then when we have a problem with the flag now, oh, but it's the flag of this country, I should be free to... You guys have put it on the motorways and you want me to feel comfortable. Reform's now here. And as soon as Reform got in power, you guys have put the flags everywhere, and you want me to all of a sudden feel comfortable for a flag that you're throwing in our face to remind us that this isn't our flag. But in the same breath, you want me to sing what's that silly song that we're supposed to sing? The national anthem. Yes. Make it make sense. Like, actually make it make sense. It's like they get confused when other people are victims. It's like, yeah, but that happened like so long ago, and that doesn't really happen. You know, like this, they gaslight you into telling you that what you're saying is not true, because I'm worse, guys. I can't afford my bills this week. I'm the worst one, you know? It's not like it's a community. It's not like white people as a whole. It's just you individually. And sadly enough, I'm so sad, and I have to say it as half white person. So for those of you that are white in the chat thinking, oh, she's being racist. No, I'm sadly half of you guys as well. Yeah, I realized in this life, a lot of the white characteristics is to be very self-indulged in thyself. The world revolves around you. You're the most important person in this world, nobody else. Your problems are the worst. Nobody else's problems are nowhere near as bad as yours. So you know what? Fine, you guys are being marginalized, you know, but you guys won the votes, so I'm confused. You guys like, make it make sense. You guys are so hell-bent on immigration, But you guys won. What's Nigel Farage done since he's come? Since he's got a couple more votes, and you guys have had people quit within 24 hours. You've had people quit. People get thrown off their role.
Historically, right? So I came across a website a few days ago, a Lib Dem MP who has literally been writing the list of Reform MPs that have quit historically. It's over 70. Over 70. And then they've even had 3 that they've fired and then been reinstated again. It's literally just, they are a shit show. Like we say, it is very much a case of what's winning is their own hatred for self, and it is their own racism that they're literally holding on to because that's all they have left. How the UK was created, I'll say it time and time again, is upon racism. The flag was built upon racism. Anything to do with that, that's the only thing they have left because they've literally had centuries in the UK. Anglo-Saxons we're talking about here, right? Since 450 AD, the Anglo-Saxons have had all of these years to get their shit together. 1,500 years to get your shit together in the UK. And now you're still sitting there going, please, sir, can I have some more? You ain't getting nothing. You ain't getting nothing. You are literally the people from Oliver Twist. You're not getting anything more. And you keep blaming us. This is why even Samantha, I don't know if you're still here, probably not. Samantha, you were almost there. You were almost there. But you keep going down when you need to keep going up. The biggest benefit frauds are the 1%. It is your queen you keep. Oh, she's bloody dead. The king will be as well soon. Both of those people, that family, the royal family, have been manipulating you and using you the most historically. And you've been paying taxes to them. And you will still say, but they bring all this money to the UK. You ain't seen none of it. You ain't seen none of it. Where? You ain't seen a goddamn penny of that money that you keep saying is coming back to the UK. Nothing.
You know what, yeah? This country is hilarious, yeah. Because a part of me, I think we all knew Brexit was going to happen anyway because, it's a racist thing that you guys were voting for really and truly, but you're hiding it under the word Brexit. Brexit happened.
The people were white as well, so they don't get that. They don't get the fact that is, like I've said,
they did not understand the concept of Brexit. Like they did not get it. But let's leave the EU. For them, it's like yes, let's get all the other people out. We don't want the other people no more. You guys voted for Brexit. Please, I want any person in this UK that voted for Brexit. What did it do for you? Because now you're all complaining of cost of living. I have been saying this for the past year. We are in a recession. We are genuinely in a recession, really badly. I think we're in one of the worst recessions.
Honestly, truly. And even actually before, I think even in, I can't remember the year, maybe 2019 or
Gordon Brown. Then, I think it was Gordon Brown era.
Maybe. And I even said, we're supposed to be in another, but they lied and said that we weren't in a recession because, of course, what happened back in the 2006 one, they didn't want to go through that shit again because, of course, it was catastrophic. So they've kind of lied and said we've never had a recession since. We've had several since then. But Paulie said it perfectly. All it took was a poster with cues of brown people, right?
Literally. You guys voted for Brexit. Now you're all complaining that your bills are high, and then you voted for the same man again that did nothing about Brexit, and then he's just got £5 million in it. No. I'm sorry. Farage is a joke. You guys. Wait, sorry, because every time I think about it, it just makes me giggle. You guys gave him £5 million.
The last couple of days.
£5 million,
yeah. A lot.
Honestly, you gave him £5 million so that he can have security. Yeah. There's a picture of him laughing at all of you guys for giving him $5 million because right now, whatever date we're on right now, he still does not have security. So he just got $5 million off of you guys for free. Yeah. You guys voted Brexit because of him. Brexit didn't happen properly. Now there's cost of living and recession. Now everyone's complaining, I have to work. Yeah, man, you voted for it. Now people want to get back, but you lot are too racist. Now you're voting again for him.
Luna in the chat has just asked, who is better than Farage and why? At this moment, you can pick anyone. You can pick anyone. Even though you've got Kemi, you can say that she was even better.
I think my children would probably qualify better than Farage. I'll be so real.
Anybody is
Like,
better than him.
I've come to the conclusion. Yeah, I think I'm gonna start a party. Like, I've come to the conclusion. I don't know how you start a party, but I'm gonna do it now because, like, I'm tired. Now you guys want to force Keir Starmer out of his position for what? Who's better? Like, there's nobody else.
Yeah.
Ed Miliband's face. I'm tired of seeing his face. His face is always push up with his grey hair. Then you got all the other people. Like, I'm tired.
Is that I always forget which. Oh no, is Ed Miliband? That's the one. And David Miliband. Yeah, Ed is the one that looks like a Wallace and Gromit character, isn't it?
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, he always reminds me of someone from that show, and I think about him eating sandwiches. Like, that's what I think of when I think of him. Because David's not that bad looking. The David Miliband is actually all right on the eyes, I think.
Yeah, I'd say if I blindly had to pick between the two, then I'd probably pick David. But
I would pick David. I would definitely pick David. But yeah, thank you so much, Leanne. And also on that note, I am going to say, Leanne, you know, you're my sister. This is where you thrive. These spaces are where you thrive, my dear.
I know. No, yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to leave it
we're
at
not
that.
even
You know
gonna.
what I'm talking about, girl.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, Kay. I just had yesterday was a catch me off guard. Racists were really getting down my throat yesterday evening. They all jumped me. I'm out. Yeah, I'm tired. I tapped out of that. But I'm gonna say one thing, because now we can gift again. There was 130 people in here. I don't know why we're still at 27k likes. That's a bit. Oh, guys, I'm going to get on to you lot. That was pathetic because yesterday we had at least 50k. Don't know what's going on. The giftings at the bottom, you know, I'm going to give you guys a little tutorial. Go to the top left corner. You're going to see Pretty Fox picture. We're all going to click it together. Then now you're going to see she's got 11.2 followers. Then you're going to see what league she's in. She's in D2. Underneath that, you see D2 gift gallery, 4 out of 10. I want you all to press that. So we're all going to press D2 gift gallery. As you can see, I've given her friendship bracelet, the TikTok badge. Green Heart's given her roses. Ashton's given her finger heart. Perfumes still waiting to be claimed. T's given her a donut. The hat and moustache, hand hearts, and the corgi and the perfume are still waiting to be gifted. Guys, I'm just going to give it 1 minute for you guys to kind of like do your magic because I don't see why Fox hasn't been gifted yet, you know. I don't know why we're not like reposting and following her. Those of you that have had like a lot of energy to be typing hateful comments in the chat, you might as well follow her so you can come and do it again next time. I don't understand. Like, we love you guys. We love you trolls, you know. Shout out to the mods. Gang, Fox mod gang is 1010. Like, when I tell you, sometimes I don't even have to say the word block. They be blocking. The Fox chat is always 1010. I'm going to shout out to T. T's been giving me the most banter in the chat today. I'll be so real. I'm going to shout to you. The comment section is always hilarious, man. I love y'all over here. Yes, guys. Let's keep gifting Fox. Fox, what time did you start this live today? I woke up and you was live. I was like, wait, huh?
I started it at, oh my gosh, we've been on for 2 hours 46. So how long the time that was ago?
Oh, so it was 8. Oh, so you literally started at 8 o'clock. Damn, okay. I need to...
7:30 GMT time. 7:30 your time. Yes.
Oh girl, yeah, yes. I had just opened my eyes. Okay, so you surprising us now. You surprising us now. The different times.
I used to do the evening slot. Now I find people are actually more online in the morning, so that's why I'm like, this is actually a good time, and I quite like it because it also gets me set up for my day. So it's a good time.
Yeah, the racists are always ready 24/7. So to go, it doesn't matter what time you start the live, they're here.
Exactly. They're always here. Thank you so much, as always, for your voice, Leanne, for your sense of humour, for highlighting the gifts and things like that. You guys know I don't ask for them, but really now, like I should be better at actually. I should be asking you guys.
I'm gonna do it every single live. Every single live, I'm gonna come up and push Fox because she doesn't ever ask for anything.
Yeah, because
to be honest, it's not fair. Like, you, out of a lot of people on this app, they should not be pushed further along. They should actually be blocked off of this app completely and suspended. Yeah. But I wish I had TikTok powers. So yeah, guys, I'm just gonna keep getting onto you guys. Well, I think a lot of people know me by now. I'm gonna get onto you guys. You guys know me. I'm gonna come up and I'm gonna say, why is your fingers typing so much hatred? But cheeky little like here and there is not hard. Cheeky little rose, 1p. It's 1p, guys.
Thank you.
But
Thank you. I appreciate that. Because on the end of this, I am going to talk about being a creator on this app and what it actually takes to do it. You guys have seen by now how some people run their TikTok lives. Absolute shambles. You've got a topic there, no one's willing to discuss the topic, people are just arguing all the time. And as you see, you can argue here if you want to, but you actually need to be able to be heard at the same time. Because the good thing, because I want you guys in the chat to be able to hear what people have to say simultaneously. Because even in an argument, people are going to make points. And so that's why we're not going to be shouting over each other all the time. We're not going to be doing that. And it does take a lot of effort to do these panels and run and make sure it's actually run correctly. Like, it takes so much effort. Like I say, on these apps, you don't really get that much money, but for the amount of time and effort and labor and the fact that I know that you guys enjoy this space, please do give me a gift as well for that. Like, please, like, give me some compensation for my time. You guys know I spend hours here now with you all. 2.5 hours today, 2.5 hours yesterday, sometimes up to 3 hours. You know, these are minimum twice a week. And I will do more. This is work. This is effort. I have to create these graphics here. I have to come up with a conversation. You guys know I then upload it to YouTube. I also have it on the RSS feed. This is work. This is actually work. So please do. I know you enjoy yourself here. I know you enjoy the conversation. Please do gift up the live, gift myself as well to say, thanks, Fox. I really enjoyed this space and I enjoy what you do as well, because that is very much appreciated. So thank you.
Yeah, and join Fox's gang, by the way. Sorry, I just remembered. Fox's name at the top left-hand corner, there's a orange heart next to her name. If you haven't got a number next to it, it means, it's not lit up, I think. I can't remember because I've been a part of you for God knows how long. Click the orange heart and then you become of her fan club. And then on top of that, go into her notifications and put your notifications on so obviously you don't miss her lives as well. But joining her fan club obviously pushes her in the algorithm, and also it helps you. So when you come into her lives, you actually have Fox's name next to your name. And then the numbers next to your name, like for example, Amari82, she's got a number 10 next to her name. It's her gifting level towards Fox, if that makes sense. So yeah, if you join Fox's club, you get a special little thing next to your name as well. So yeah, I'd say, yeah. Y'all don't know me by now. Y'all know I come up here and apply pressure. So like her thing, man, guys.
And especially because you're so clued up on how TikTok works. So clued up. I'm going to DM you after this, actually, about this. I'm going to DM you. But thank you, as always, Leanne. The last few times you've been like the last guest. You, as I say, you always come with joy and positivity. And I really love the fact when you're here, you can be yourself. And I get to see the best sides of you, really and truly. And it's so beautiful and glorious to see. So thank you so much. Every single time.
No problem. I'm giving you air hugs, ma'am.
Yeah.
To be that beautiful this time of the morning, girl, you're good. I went to get my McDonald's breakfast. I've been eating my hash browns. I said, my girl's life. Okay, cool. I need a little snack. I'll be real.
Right, guys, thank you so much. As always, again, thank you so much to the mods. They're always holding it down. They are so good. I love every single one of my mods. Thank you again to my mods. Thank you so much to everybody who came up and had the conversation. Thank you so much to everybody in the chat. Let's give a few shout outs who's still here while we're wrapping up. Miss Q, thank you so much. Purple Rain, Lapis, Shady, K Jonesy, Amory, Yinka, Amari, Karima, Chan, Jess, User 793, Eve. We've got some more people. Isaac, I know that you wanted to come up at the end. Unfortunately, it was ending. Coal Mind, Human, good to see you. And again, to my moderators who are Herbert Sapien. This is Beth. I think Kruger was here earlier, I think. Who else? I think is it just you guys that are left, I think it's just you guys that left, but there are a lot more moderators that I do have, and of course I love and appreciate them all. As I always say, I try to keep this space as safe, as protected as I can. We try to focus on the conversation. We don't have any ableism. Oh, and Kelza, thank you so much, Kelza. Yes, no ableism, no racism, no sexism, no homophobia, none of that shit. We talk about the conversation. We keep it on point. So thank you so much again, and I will see you guys on another live. So have a great day. Bye, everybody. Thank you, Leanne. Bye. Bye.